We are Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. The home theater podcast that's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds, the scenes.
There we go. And we're in order this week, right down the bus bench.
Look at that.
Perfect. How are we doing this week, boys?
Doing great.
Yeah, good. Can I just check? We are live on YouTube then, are we, Deej?
Apparently. It looks it.
Okay, so now then, thank God I can finally get rid of this then.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, look at you.
There you go.
And I didn't send it to you. That's fantastic.
No. There you go. Look at that. It's 3 for 3, fellas. There we go.
How long ago did you order that?
I ordered it about 10 days ago. I knew when we did the one last week, I knew it was coming, and it turned up the day after.
Wow.
Cool.
What
so it is looking a bit bright, but
that was a bit of a Clark Kent thing because you know it's got the triangle on the chest. Yeah.
There we go. I get my camera a little bit better
I've
adjusted.
been boiling hot for the last 20 minutes as we've been talking with that thing on this one. I'm like, please start the show. Please start the show.
I got sweat coming off my head.
Bright side sauna suit on.
Right.
Oh, look at us. Right down the
I'm glad I had mine on today.
Me too.
We
did not plan this.
I could see you.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So when you joined and I could see you both had them on, I thought, ooh.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. That is awesome. Thanks, Steve. That's awesome.
Hey, no worries.
I kept meaning to go on and just order you one and send it to you because.
Oh no, you're okay.
Yeah, there's something on the way for you. John got his, the one from Dan. We'll talk about when everybody gets theirs, and John's got a fun story about his.
I look forward to that in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Yours is on the way. I don't know.
Oh, great. Okay.
But yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
awesome.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's very cool. But I didn't want to say anything. I thought, no. So many times I thought, oh, shall I just sort of tell them? And then I thought, no, we'll leave it as a surprise.
What? I like surprises. It helps that I have the mind of a goldfish, so.
You could do that again next week and it'll be just as fun.
Well, here's something weird. On my camera, it's back to front. On your two, looking at yours, it's the right way around. Is it back to front on yours?
No.
Actually, on mine, it's back to front, and you two look. Yeah, it's just because everybody's seen the reverse of themselves. Yeah.
Not me. Not me. There's a setting. You can go in when you sign up. When you log in every week, there's a setting down on the bottom where you can invert that for yourself. So that you can set it back so you don't have to have the mirror image of yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Because I can't have it because I'm recording our screen here, and if I did that, mine would look backwards on the screen.
Right.
Oh, okay. Oh, fine. There we go.
So there you go. Behind the scenes for podcasting.
Yeah. But what is cool about these is that you order them and they print them in country. So they don't print them in the US, they print them here. Yeah. And then they send them off. So you get them quite quickly, which is quite good.
That's nice.
So, so I was pleased that, just over a week it took. Not too bad at all.
TeePublic. And I've told people that in the past. I might have told you a while ago, like a couple of years ago when we first started it, that they actually print them as locally as they can to where you ordered it from. They have places all over the world, I guess. But, and TeePublic, nice job, Steve. And anybody else wants to join? I know a few listeners this week. Some sweatshirts have been grabbed and some T-shirts this week by listeners.
Nice.
See
that? We talked about it, and look what happens.
I know.
Build it, they will come.
Yeah.
I know. And apparently, Mike Schramm, happy Tuesday. And he goes, look at you three. I was like, well, that's the point of YouTube.
Yeah.
Look at us. That's what we're all about. You know us.
Look at me. Look at me.
Oh, yeah. That's great. But yeah, anybody else wants to join the crowd on the bus bench here? Links in the show notes. TeePublic. It's on the website under merch. Pretty simple. Look at that. You speak and they shall, I don't know, purchase. All right. Speaking of purchasing this week, we had a pretty big week for donations. all from the same person. And it all came in within minutes of each other. Brent Jones, first I got his $10 box of popcorn. And I was like, oh, so I'm in the middle of emailing him. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then boom, my email, you have a new patron. Brent Jones is a new patron as well. And I was awesome. Like, you know that's monthly, right? Like, because he was, as you guys can see, I don't like to give out people's donations monthly, but very generous monthly, right? And I'm like, that's monthly. So that's pretty cool. And since we're at the end of the month, that puts us with all of his just at 191. Obviously down from the last 2 months where we were slightly over the 200, but that puts us up there. We're getting closer and closer to be consistently and not needing a bump every month. But getting consistently closer to that a true 50%. So, but this month we will be doing, actually tomorrow, because today's the 31st as we record this, I will be donating to Scholastic Sports Zone Foundation. Like I said before, links in the show notes. Go to scholasticsportszonefoundation.org. There's a nice donate button if you'd like to go there on your own. And this is all about AEDs. And, you know, getting AEDs into the schools, getting AEDs awareness to people and stuff like that. And if you don't know what's I know what they are. What does AED stand for? I forget.
Defibrillators, auto defibrillators. Or something.
Yeah, it's the, you know, to get your heart going back again. And
defibrillator. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have saved a lot of lives, especially the youth. I mean, when we saw what happened in the NFL, they used one there. You see but it happens more often. Like when it happened in the NFL, they're like, this never happens here. And what they say on the news, it happens in high schools all the time. It happens with kids all the time. So I don't know if maybe NFL athletes, they're just stronger so they can withstand those hits where younger kids don't have the strength to protect themselves the same way. And I don't mean like protect like that, but I mean just they're not mature enough to maybe take these hits. And this can happen. So these things that, you know, I've seen one used live on the ice. I've seen, you know, so they're really, really important. And like I said at the beginning of the month, one of the most important things is getting awareness to people on how to use them and not to be afraid of them, because they are dummy proof. They're so simple to use, and that it can save a life. Don't hesitate. So, but yeah, so that's where our $100 will be going to this month. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Giveaways. Let's do some giveaways. We're cooking right along. And then we'll get to the milk at the back of the store. We have a very, very busy week this week. As you guys know, we talked about. Very busy. So we're going to try to cook as fast as we can through our listener comments and everything and get to the milk at the back of the store. Let's see. So we had some people pick some up this week. I don't remember which ones went this week. I forgot to write the dates down, but let's give away a few more. We have a digital code for Star Trek Into the Darkness and also a digital code for Star Trek from 2009. So let's give those away this week. I know Steve's a big fan of those films.
He's a big Trekkie.
Yeah. Big modern Trekkie.
We found out last week.
Yeah. To be fair, Into Darkness is a hell of an intro. I mean, that's one of my go-to Atmos and Image demo sequences on the 4K disc is awesome. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's I've said on the show, that's one of the discs that my projector calibrator travels with. So that's one of the first he puts in with those little lights. That's what he really likes is when they're pulling away and you see the little blue lights coming down and in HDR, how brilliant those things should be.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
Yeah,
really, really
absolutely. Nice. So that's the two for this week. Any tweaks from you guys? I don't see any here, but anything off the top of your head?
No. I'm still using iCloud. But that's about it. No, I try not to go near it if I can. I just pop in, put the disc in, and then run from the room as quickly as possible before something happens to it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you hear my? You didn't hear any of me and Kevin Andrews today, did you?
I've listened to about the first 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, I couldn't get much more done, but yeah.
I've got about 20 minutes left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we talked. I mean, he's a lot like me. He likes to build this stuff. I mean, he painted his speakers. I don't know if you got to that part, but they look like washing machines. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think I saw some pictures of that.
Yeah, he tweeted it out the other day.
Yeah.
And they did. Didn't they look like washing machines and subwoofers?
They did.
So
he better not let you near them, otherwise you'll forget to take the bits out from inside. It'll bound to break.
Yeah.
We know not to let you near washing machine, dish dryers.
Oh.
Don't read the instructions. Just chuck them on. It'll be all right.
What instructions? I installed it myself. It's like, yeah, great conversation with Kevin. That was an in-depth. We had so much fun talking home theater and just how our experiences and fun and bad and good and all that stuff. So. All right, I got my tweak for this week is really simple one. So when we put on our streaming stuff and there's always the commercials and stuff and you can skip them or whatever. So I decided to go old school like the movie theaters, and I set on my Harmony remote, I set a button for as dim 5% on the lights in my room. So it goes right to, so just like at the movie theaters when they're, when they play those trailers at the beginning, the room isn't dimmed, at least in the theater I'm in. They don't dim the lights until the actual feature starts. So I did that. So I'm like, for all those little trailers and stuff or whatever I get, I'm like, it's great. And then when the movie starts, I just take that same button, tap it again, and the lights shut off and off I'm running. I'm like, and it's actually changed. It helps with your perception of black too. It makes the feature feel that much more, special because it's crisp and clear. There's on my screen. There's one thing I was wondering if any listeners knew, if there's a way that I can set the hue lights to dim slower, because they dim in 3 seconds. When I hit it dim, they just go whoop and they go right down. But I don't know if there's a way to go in and maybe program that into Harmony.
I've not heard of that either, I must admit. And I've had hue lights for years as well, and I've got one too. I mean, I've got a sort of show time and a show off mode and stuff on the on the iPad that I control them with. One of those is that all the lights are all nice and dimmed. It is quite cool. It is, if you're moving around the theater and you want to be able to just, not trip up the riser or not fall off anything. It's quite nice to just have that little light. They're so easy to mess around with, and you just can't break them. You can't kind of go down a rabbit hole and then just get stuck and not be able to go back. They are, I think, pretty foolproof. Must be, because I'm a fool and I can use them. So they're pretty good. And you can, like I say, you can mess around with your scenes forever. That's what's so cool about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dimming, slowly dimming. I'd be curious about that. I've not heard of it. But
I know other apps like that. The one I have in here for this room, I can change. When I turn these off, it takes them 10 seconds to turn off. They don't just instant off. And you can change those settings. And I'm like, there's got to be. I mean, Hue it's a more expensive system than this. And I was thinking, I'm like, they got to have something in there. So I don't know. I haven't found it, but if anybody does, let me know. You can email me at dj@brightsidehometheater.com. Nice catch, Steve. And if you want to email any of us, it's our names and brightsidehometheater.com. So John or Steve.
Are we emailing John again now?
Not yet.
No.
It'll go into the ether. But
yeah.
When we ever get him back up and running again, he's just going to get inundated.
To be fair, I wasn't getting any before. So.
It's going to be all these women.
Yeah, it's all these princes wanting to give me money and
Russian brides.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or people telling me to stop sending them nudes.
Stop.
Yeah, restraining orders.
Yeah,
all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back on track. All right. Are you ready to get to this week's listener experiences?
Mm-hmm.
We are cooking.
Yes.
So let's get the ball rolling here. So moving forward, we're getting more and more listener experiences. I am going to take a page in the future out of AV Rant's notes and how they do things. And if you give us a compliment or something like that, I'm just going to add your name to the list and we'll read down like the thank yous for the people that have given us compliments throughout the week. That'll make that quicker. That's what AV Rant does. They just thank the people. And I get, for a while, for most of this, we could read them all, and it's getting tougher. So we've got a few this week, quite a few this week, actually, that have great comments. One's from last week, and these are what we're kind of looking for and what we're going to be reading about, like you guys said. We had a pre-show meeting, us guys, because we're that sophisticated now.
Yeah.
And it's like anything that sparks a conversation, really, right, guys? That's what we were talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that didn't spark a conversation.
Didn't require one.
Yes, we agree.
Yes, we're trying to be faster, DJ. We're trying to get to the milk at the back of the store. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, with that, we'll start going through these. And like this one that I saved from last week, Terminator 2. From Jay, who emailed me. I'm going to read this question when we actually get to our listener experiences, because I actually sat down and did the homework and had quite the experience doing it in my theater. So we're going to compare, some Terminator 2 stuff. So, John, you want to read the next one after that from?
Sure, from Jonah Fish 75. Commenting on our last video. It says, I saved up my money for an HD DVD player, and once I got enough, they announced they were folding, so I went and got a PS3 with 2001 Speed and Crimson Tide. I did end up getting a super cheap HD DVD player a year later for The Big Lebowski and Balls of Fury. Big Lebowski didn't come to Blu-ray until 2011 and was to many an inferior transfer. And Balls of Fury still doesn't have a Blu-ray release. So
yeah.
Was Speed one of the original Blu-rays? I thought Speed was quite a long time before that came out. I think because that was a Fox release, and they normally do that a little bit down the line.
If he got that with his PS3, he wasn't an early adopter because the PS3 wasn't early on. So, you know what I mean? And it's like that came out later, and it actually, like I said, it actually saved it because their players themselves were so slow. From what I remember, because I had players before I got the PS3. I still have my PS2. And up until the PS3, guys, whoever used their gaming console for movies, especially in home theater, it was you needed to have a standalone DVD player. Those were the better players. The gaming consoles couldn't compare, and the PS3 literally turned everything on its head. It was I had about 70 HD DVDs, and I never owned an HD DVD player. I said to you before, I had the Xbox 360's add-on that sounded like a 747 was landing next to you every time you tried to watch it. That thing was loud. And so that was how clunky most consoles for watching movies were before you got this fairly slick PS3. And of course, Sony was selling them at a massive loss for a very long time just to get that Blu-ray penetration, to get them into homes and then, be able to watch them. And again, I spent, I think it was £500, so it would have been probably about $600, if not more back then, to have it shipped over from the States because I wanted it to be able to watch American Blu-rays. Funnily enough, The Big Lebowski, I've got the 4K disc of that, and I haven't watched it yet. I've had it about 2 years. I've seen the film once, but I've had the 4K disc since it came out, and I haven't watched it yet. I've got to get around to doing that at some point. Yeah, I've never seen The Big Lebowski either. I've never seen
the film?
No, never seen it.
Oh, I've seen it once. It's
love
good. It is good.
Oh, I
yeah,
love
it's
it.
a
I've
good
seen
film.
it
Yeah,
really
it's
good.
quirky.
I
Yeah.
just never got around to it, and I don't know why. I just never got around to it. So
It is
To
good.
me, it's one of those. It's one of those Shawshank movies for me. Like if I catch it at any point, I'm gonna stop and finish watching it because
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I can't get Shawshank,
but I
'cause
don't own
know
the
where it
4K.
is. You can only get Shawshank if you know when you're flipping by it what it is. It's like I have no
Yeah, but
idea.
I'm fairly certain, Deej, that you've covered all the bases. So you'll have the Laserdisc, you'll have the DVD, you'll have 4 copies of the Blu-ray, 12 of the 4K one, you'll have the Kaleidoscape. Pretty sure there's a flip book available. You'll have that.
I never said I didn't own it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Just haven't watched it.
Just how many of them?
Yeah. Oh man, when physical media goes under, like we were talking last week, you know how much money I'm going to save because it's so hard to buy digitally twice.
Right.
Although I have, I did with that Bloodshot. I bought
Yeah,
it.
because you could buy it on iTunes and Vudu and Kaleidoscape.
Amazon.
Yeah,
Amazon, right.
And it's no, I just bought iTunes and Vudu because Vudu had the Atmos.
Right.
And I needed to compare. Come on, boys. Come on, I had a job to do. Yeah. So, all right.
Alrighty.
All right. We're going to do, here we go. Now, probably the only one that's going to get this, but this is what we're going to do going forward. We love the long emails. I read them all. Emails, comments, on YouTube, whatever. I love it because I love the interaction. Keep it up. But I'm a chili Willy. He's got a really long comment, and we're gonna have. And he says at the end, please have Steve read this comment if it makes the next show. No offense, John. Just gonna love the British surfer talk. So we're gonna have Steve summarize Chili Willy's comment.
Somehow it's even more difficult to summarize using it. It's one thing reading it like it, summarizing it's
I
even
know.
more
That's
tricky.
why I gave you the job. You said you're good at it. Go.
Okay. All right. So, oh man, it's even more difficult to do summarizing it. Okay. So, Little Chili Willy, I'll come back to some of it. What I'll do
Do
is
you
I'll
want me
read
to
bits of it.
summarize
Let's
it?
do that.
I've read it like
I know,
5
you're right.
times.
I'll go on then. I have, to be fair, let's be clear though, so he knows, because we don't want him to think that we don't appreciate the comment. You upload them so that both John and I can read them. They're in the notes and it's in full there, with chapters and page numbers and heavily bound and several volumes and it's all there. So we have, to be fair, been able to read it all. It's not as though we're summarizing from our own notes, aren't we?
Right.
So yeah. So, I mean, I can summarize it. I mean, he talks about, that it was a great show previously, and he says, hey, bros, which is very cool. So he's essentially saying he's purchased a second center channel dude paired with a second Emotiva. Presumably that's how you say it, isn't it? A DR1 monoblock, and he's got a splitter, and he decided to upgrade his original center speaker and adding a power amp monoblock for it. And then he's decided, because of some issues he was having with his center speaker, in terms of adjusting the EQ and having to bump up the decibel levels with no avail, he's now got a second center, or a second center, dude. And so he's up to, and he's put here, I've upgraded my wow factor as well, man, which I think is very cool. That's just how I read it. I'm sure he doesn't sound like this, but it's how it sounded in my head. So he's now got a center channel on each side of his TV. And basically that doubling for the dialogue. And he says that that's fully opened up a complete dialogue experience. And it's also blows away the other speakers when it's at higher levels. So, he's very pleased. And then he says, sending positive vibes with love and peace, bros. I'd never, ever heard of, as we were talking about before the show, I've never heard of two center channels. Never. Not say there's anything wrong with it. I've just never heard of it.
Not in any capacity?
No.
Okay.
No. Always thought just one center, that's your center, that's it. But that's my ignorance rather than anything, untoward about it.
Yeah, it is rare, but people have done it for up and over, like above and below your screen, because in lieu of it like acoustically transparent screen, or if you have a television, a big screen television and you want to put it up and above and below, and you match them so that now it sounds like it's coming from the center of the screen. People have done that to try and, because they're trying to anchor it because they think it sounds too much like it's down below or whatever. It is. I have heard of people doing it on the sides, but that's very rare because most people, once you put that on the sides, now that's like right next to your left and right channels as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I honestly, I mean, this, you know what this reminded me of, John, is what we were talking about last week, is like when we started out, just as many speakers as you could, you put them in there, especially with the Y splitter. It's like I've done so many RCA Y splitters. Remember what were they? They were gray. From Radio Shack. You could buy a bag of like 6 or 10 of them or a dozen or whatever. And I'd be down there buying like 3 bags full. Because I'm like, I'm going to split everything. I'm going to multiple channels. But I wasn't using extra amps either. I was just splitting stuff out, trying to get it to run to something else. But yeah, it's if you're happy with it, and like he even says in here, he goes, I know that a lot of people are going to poo-poo this, right? He says, like, people are going to be, this isn't going to measure right, but if it gets you what you want, great. And I think we've all done that. We've all been there. And what's fun about doing stuff like this is I think you'll eventually grow to be like, okay, now what's it like when I do this? And this is how you find improvements in other places. And, you know, everything's always evolving. Try it out. Have a blast with it. And like you said, I upgraded his wow factor. If you're enjoying it, have a blast with it. And then, you know, next step, you know, who knows? You know, but there is no right way and wrong way. Right? Like, especially some of the speaker companies. I don't care what you do with it. Thank you for buying it. It's like,
and whatever you do, don't criticize it. Otherwise, you'll earn a DJ F-bomb. And we don't want any more of those.
We don't.
Well, not on YouTube.
Just as a hint of what's to come later. Wasn't I just more interesting on that moment? Don't think I wasn't thinking that during that. All right. Let's see. Patrick Sayet. How studios decide which movie or not goes 4K is quite strange. For Emmerich, ID4, 2012, Moonfall, Godzilla, but no Stargate or Day After Tomorrow. And yeah, I have no idea. I don't know if they're just trying to keep us, I don't know, on the edge of our seat. Like, like hold some titles back so that they can roll them out later. I don't know.
Well, I guess my question, and I don't know, these are all the same director, but are they all from the same studio?
Yeah, no.
Because that's got more to do with it than the director, is which studio is putting them out.
Yeah, I agree. Day After Tomorrow is a Fox film, and that is in 4K over here on Disney Plus. We've talked about that before. But Stargate that's not Fox, is it? That is.
I have no idea. You're really good.
Who released that? It might be Lionsgate. It might be Lionsgate. Sure. It's one of the mini majors. I think it was. I don't think it was Fox. Right. And I mean, I might be wrong about that. I don't know if anyone that's watching might.
What is ID4? That's not Fox, is it?
That's Fox. Yeah,
that's Fox as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, Fox. Moonfall is Lionsgate. 2012 is Sony. Godzilla is Sony as well. So they he had a deal going with because he's with Centropolis. Is his production company, and he had a deal with Sony for quite a while. Yep. But yeah, ID4 is definitely Fox. Day After Tomorrow is Fox as well. But as I said, 2012 Godzilla, Sony, and Moonfall's Lionsgate.
I got one for you. Look at all those titles up there. Great films. ID4, 2012, Moonfall, Godzilla, but no Stargate or Day After Tomorrow. But Universal Soldier has a 4K.
Yeah. It's quite a decent disc as well.
It is. I reviewed that a long time ago. That came out a while, like 2 years ago, I think. That came out.
So one of my favorite guilty pleasures of his is The Patriot. I think The Patriot's absolutely fantastic.
Why is that a guilty one, though?
That's the Mel Gibson one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot, actually.
Yeah, it was much maligned for its historical inaccuracies and various other issues when it came out. But I love that film. I think it's really good.
That was Civil War, right? Was that Civil War?
Yeah. And in terms of home cinema experiences, there is one in there that I used to use to demo my old cinema room, and I've got the 4K disc. But this is the bit with the reload, the stuff when they attack the little convoy to rescue Heath Ledger, his son. And when he goes to rescue him, there is a bit where he's got his sons have each got a gun, and then he's got 2 weapons, and he sort of pops out from behind the tree and shoots. If you watch that, when he shouts reload, one of the soldiers shouts reload, and it goes right round the room. And every time they shoot, there is a gun echo that goes round the room as well. It is fantastic home cinema. So that's worth, if you haven't watched it for a while, and if you've got the 4K disc, which I've got, and it is well worth a listen to. It's really, really good, that sequence. So yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
John, you want to read Mike Schramm's?
Yeah, Mike Schramm commenting on last week's Oscar in the home theater experience. He says, as a Last of Us player, I appreciate that I'm watching the game I've already played. I'm in the camp that would be upset if they changed things for change's sake. Now, I have a feeling we'll expand on that when we get to our listener experiences, our home theater experiences for the week.
Oh, yes.
Because episode 3, I really want to hear Steve's take on that. So,
that question has been answered, and in no uncertain terms. Have we all seen it, by the way? Because it's not on our list. Have you seen it, Deej?
Yeah, I have it on my list.
Is that on?
It's on DJ's list. I didn't put it on my list because I don't feel it's a home theater experience necessarily this episode.
Okay.
But I did watch it.
Good. All right, cool. I was a bit worried that we weren't going to be able to talk about it.
Oh, we're talking about it every week. I think we should. Yeah. It's that good. I mean, the show is that
good. I'll always have seen it. It might just not make... It might not make the list. But,
I can give you some home theater stuff from that. I thought it was a good.
I'm sure there was. There was some, but it not like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, good. I'm glad you've seen it because I want to talk about that in a bit.
Okay. There we go. All right.
In a great way. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Right. Cool.
All right. You want to do? Steve, read PK Hamu's.
Now it's going to look like I'm just blowing my own trumpet because of how
because he gets to read all the Steve ones.
So let's not summarize this. Let's read this line for line.
Right.
Can I read this line for line and then just repeat it, just so we're clear? All right.
Just line for line. Yeah, but you got to go past the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth word.
Fifth word.
Yeah. No.
Fourth word.
I agree with Steve. That's all he said.
So that's it. Well, that's fine. That's okay. I'm all right with that. We can leave it there. That's good. Alrighty. So perfectly rightly, PK Hamu 2005. Yeah, as I said, comment on the Oscar in home theater experience YouTube video. Says, I agree with Steve, and so he should. RRR needed more nominations, but I believe filmmakers outside the US have to spend huge money in promoting theirs to the Academy, as told by an Indian director whose film went well to the last round long back. For me, RRR should have been nominated for its terrific sound design. I watched in a good theatre and it was excellent. I don't know if we're going to agree with this bit. Netflix streams sounded highly compressed and mixed at a very low volume. In fact, many Indian movies are doing far better Dolby DTS mixing than some hyped up Hollywood ones. And since we watch movies from both countries, I can vouch for that. Avatar nominated in sound design is again highly overrated. Oh, I could agree with that. In fact, Avatar 1 had an average sound mix. Probably don't agree with that. Many have complained about the low LFE. All this makes me wonder whether the judges watch all these on their AirPods, on their iPads. Terrible thing to do. Sadly, the judging standards baffle me. That's what he says. So
it's hard
we
to
were all in
shorten them
agreement
with all the interjections.
Yeah, sorry. I can't help it.
I'm just busting.
Yeah, no, I get you. But we do agree, don't we? RRR should have been. I mean, we were all. I don't think it was just me that said that. I think we were all in agreement that it should have been.
At the same time, I loved that. What I loved about this comment is like I had no idea that that's how it worked. You have to the country itself didn't nominate it, so they weren't allowed to look at it. Right, the Academy didn't look at it, so and like I've seen other people say that's just wrong. It shouldn't be so stringent, and I'm like, I mean, this is going to come off as the ugly American, but I mean, it is the American Academy Awards. I'm sure other countries have their movie awards, and United States is allowed to nominate a film or I don't know.
Yeah,
but
The only thing weird about that, though, is that it has been nominated for Best Original Song.
Right.
Right, but maybe
So
maybe they didn't put it up for Best Picture, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you put it in
Yeah.
for
Oh,
certain.
right.
All right, we think it's going to get this, and we'll do that, and that way, maybe because it's a certain country, they're like, we know we could probably win this one here, so we'll put that in. They put what they think their front runners are, because they're only allowed to nominate one, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. But what did you think about the Netflix stream then? Sounding highly compressed and at a very low volume.
Again, that's how I watched it, and I was blown
me
away
too.
by it.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I don't have a disc to compare it to, so I would
Neither do
imagine
I.
physical would be even better. And I wish I did have it, but I didn't find it to be lacking in any way. It blew me away from Netflix. But again, I have no comparison.
There was also multiple versions that you could watch. A lot like when we All Quiet on the Western Front, right? You had to get the right, you had to watch the right or listen to the right track to get the Atmos or to get whatever. And so maybe he was on a different track. And this just gets to what I say all the time. There's so many variables. You don't know what it, and like people listening right now be like, I didn't know there were multiple tracks. I mean, Ralph Potts texted me when he was watching it. And he's like, what the heck is going on? This sounds horrible. And I was like, so I pulled it up and I showed him, I screen grabbed it, sent it to him. And I'm like, here, do this. And he's like, oh, much better. He still tapped out, but he didn't appreciate it.
Right.
But yeah, it's, I mean, there's so many variables and there's so many settings. I would have missed it too. I think you guys were the ones that told me maybe not on our All Quiet. You guys told me.
Yeah, All Quiet was,
here.
because straight away the Atmos sounded
Atmos.
weird to me. Realized it was an English dub, and then went back and turned on the English.
Atmos is the German. It's the actual German language.
Much better.
Yeah,
That's the one. Yeah, it should. Do you know what? Netflix really should put up a disclaimer, shouldn't they? You know, that should be on the either on the initial thing or when you first start it. You know, to say this is not in its original version. To select original version, click. You know, German.
Yeah.
They should really, if they cared about, you know, how it's displayed and how it's presented, they really should do that, just so that you don't then have this issue, which, because I'll bet you now 95% of the people watching that film just push play.
Well, in the series, Dark was like that on Netflix as well. When I watched that, only the original German had Atmos. And I watched almost all of season 1 with the dub, not knowing until I stumbled across it by accident, really.
Yeah.
And then I watched the rest of the season 2 and 3 in German with Atmos. It was like night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of you guys, I'm getting better at reading the subtitles. I hated that stuff. I'd always go to the dub. And on All Quiet, I did the Atmos. I did jump back and forth to hear the difference because I like to do that. But I'm not very quick at reading that stuff. But now I'm getting better. I'll look down and I'll just get the gist of it and then watch the scene. I don't know. I'm sure that's what everybody's like. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, you idiot. But
Whereas I can't watch it I can't watch dubbed anything. I go back to the days of the Bruce Lee movies and the you know, those sorts of things, and the terrible dubbing and and it used to just be very distracting. So give me the original language all day long. Even if you are struggling to keep up, it's still worth it. Just way better. And there's something culturally significant about the language as well. It's designed to be seen that way. And I think if you then, because I'm sure the director doesn't go into the recording booth for the dubbing mix and go, right, this is what I had in mind, and this is the inflection. Exactly. Yeah. So I would always, I can't think off the top of my head of a single film in a foreign language that I would watch with a dub. Not one that I can think of. Always go for the original track. I mean, the subs can be pain in the backside, but it's still better to do that, I would say, even when they're quite poorly done, because there have been lots of examples of subtitles that actually are not right. Let the Right One In was one of those where the subtitles were wrong. It's just not what they were saying. But even then, I'd still rather hear it in its native language.
Right.
I suppose the ultimate goal is like Prey. We were talking about Prey, to get a film where the dialogue can be in its natural dialogue and you don't need subtitles, because you can get enough from the inflection and the way the story is developing to not require them. And so that would be the ultimate goal, but it's not easy to do. Apocalypto is the other one that you could do that with as well. I think you don't need the subtitles on that.
Yep. Okay. Right. PK also says he watched Menu, really enjoyed it. But I'll move on to Blue Wave from Oscar.
I think he also said in that one, Zardeej, as Steve said. I'm pretty sure he said that in that one as well. Just so we're clear, then we could move on.
Was he not in the meeting, John?
I know. He must not have been.
I don't know. He's the one that's got to go to bed, right? And it's like, I'm trying
there you go.
I'm doing my best here because I want to read everything and tell you what color the avatar is.
Right.
All right. Blue Wave, Oscar and the home theater experience. Blue Wave says, great show as always, gentlemen. You guys are absolutely right. And that must include Steve. About Apple TV Plus. Just starting watching C, and the picture and sound are exceptional. I've been popping back and forth through other shows, and it seems to be the norm with Apple TV Plus. The quality across the board is fantastic. One more thing. My tweak of the week is the new Emotivia Bass X MR1 11.2 channel Atmos and DTS:X cinema receiver paired with an XPA5 amplifier. We need something more than the word tweak for something.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's a major upgrade.
It's like I did
upgrades of the week.
That's like it was like I went, I jumped off the bench or I went skydiving.
Right.
I'm like, as soon as I get it set up and everything dialed in, I'll let you guys know how it sounds compared to my old, I don't want to disparage, Yamaha RX V2080. That's more. We got to come up with more than tweak of the week, because that's a tweak is like, I just like what I did. I adjusted my light settings. That's a little tweak.
I found iCloud.
You found iCloud. Yeah. That's a tweak, right? It's like, you want to irritate somebody, you're kind of tweaking them. You didn't punch them in the face. You just
ran them over.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great. Well, for now, tweak. That's a fantastic tweak. But yeah, Apple TV Plus, John and I have been saying it since for years, since Apple TV came out. Everything we've seen there is, the production quality is the best. I'm going to be talking about it today as well. C is one of the best examples of everything. Every episode is a great home theater experience. The other one, Blue Wave, is For All Mankind. That one too.
Yes.
The picture is absolutely stunning. The special effects are awesome. The 4K HDR is awesome on that. And then also look at the sound on that is amazing too.
Yeah, the Atmos was great, especially season 3. I talked about several episodes.
I haven't even finished that one yet. Yeah. And Foundation was on there too as well, wasn't it? That was on Apple TV. Yep. That one of my absolute favorites. And if you like Dune, you'd probably like Foundation. So, all right. Who wants to read?
I'll do it. I'll do it because I have a comment anyway. Okay. So this is from Jonathan. Fauda on Netflix. Oh. It says, "Hey, home theater nerds, happy Saturday. Do either of you watch the streaming show Fauda on Netflix? Season 4 just dropped, and I finished it last night. This is an absolutely brilliant show that maybe doesn't have a wide audience over here, but should. Both of you," and I'm assuming he means all three of us, should absolutely watch it. Season 4 was the first I have watched in the new C-Den cinema, and it was spectacular on the 110-inch screen. The cinematography in this series is amazing, and the detail is top-notch. Don't be scared off by the subtitles. This is a must-watch series. So what did not make my list this week was season 4 of Fauda, which I also watched in its entirety this week. I left it off just because I had a lot to talk about already. But yeah, this is a really, really great show that I didn't realize was getting a season 4. It just surprised me. when it popped up on Netflix the other Friday, I guess, of last week. So yeah, I agree that you guys should check this out if you haven't seen it. Now it's 4 seasons deep, so it's a bit of a commitment, but really, really great series. So
cool.
And yes, definitely one that you're going to want to watch.
Subtitles now.
Yeah, you're going to want to watch it in its original language and do the subtitles, and it's a lot of reading because it's all in Arabic and Hebrew. But yeah,
I know that.
Really, really, really good show. So
we're watching. Jen and I are watching White Lotus upstairs.
Oh yeah.
And we're in the middle of season 2, and we usually watch it when we're eating, which is really hard to do when you're doing subtitles.
Right,
because you try to look down to eat and you miss. When we started season 2, I didn't know season 2 was heavy on the subtitles, right? Yeah. And I set up one of my Lego sets. I set the pictures to John. It was Luke's helmet. I set it up on the table, on the kitchen table, and I was going to do it while we were watching the show. And I got chastised by my wife because she's already seen seasons 1 and season 2, and she wants me to see it and experience it with her. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I'm not crazy about it. I mean, John and I talked about it. A lot of people love it. I'm not crazy. I like it, but I'm not like, But anyway, season 2 is better. But I sit down and she goes, no, you got to sit over here and pay attention. There's a lot of subtitles, and I want you to see what's going on. If you're doing your thing, you're not going to know what's going on. Wow. She's getting ballsy in her old age. She's not like that. I'm like, what the heck? So subtitles can be bad.
Yeah.
All right. You want to read, Steve, you want to read We Are Not Alone?
Oh, yeah, I do want to read this one. There's some stuff in here that needs correction, or at least some explanation.
Here we go.
Right, very quickly. All right,
Class
so We Are Not
session.
Alone. So, yeah, well, this cheeky devil. This is from a chap called Darren from Carlow in Ireland.
Nice.
And of course, we've had some experience with that this week, and so stuff we'll get on to. So he says, "Hi, DJ John and Steve. Should I do it like in the Lucky Charms accent, or is that totally inappropriate?"
No, not if you can keep it up.
Like,
go ahead.
Sounds more like far and away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, always after me, Lucky Charms. So, right. Hi, DJ John and Steve. Firstly, I love the podcast and the passion you all have for the movies and the equipment. I definitely operate on the lower end of the scale when it comes to equipment, but I do the best with what I can on my budget. My wife couldn't tell the difference between standard def or 4K, had heart failure when I said I was saving for a new TV. I've never felt you guys were pushing people to keep upgrading, as I understand that we're all looking for the next little improvement, whatever our budget. I remember getting my first cheap home cinema in a box and just sitting with all the speakers around me, listening to the sound and being so thrilled. The wife thought I was nuts /sad. I too had one of the first Sony Blu-ray players. Still think it was one of the best looking pieces of equipment I ever owned. After about 5 firmware updates, I think they shaved about 10 seconds off the hour loading time. On physical media, I too love the convenience of just using a streaming service. We have 4 of them, but they don't have all the movies. My daughter was looking for a film, and it wasn't on any of them, so turns to me and asks, do I have it? I have most of my films on a Plex server, and 30 seconds she's watching it. My fear is that when all the streamers eventually converge is how much it will cost in the selection. That's why I too still collect discs, films, TV that make me cry. Afterlife, we talked about that, didn't we? Should come with a warning about how emotional he will get. Dead Poet Society, yeah, okay, good, yep. Fast 7, less so. On a side note, right, here we go. Right, so on a side note, who said crime doesn't pay? Seems to be funding Steve's movie addiction quite nicely.
I loved it.
When I read that, I was grinding my teeth when I read that anyway. I'll just sign off and then I'll explain it. Keep up the good work and good luck with the house. Oh, Captain, my Captain, Darren from Carlow in Ireland. So, yes, just so you know, Darren. So I do a full-time job 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I do at least 15 nights a month on call, and I also teach as well. So if 2 full-time jobs means crime pays, then yeah, that.
Well, you're defending the crime, is what he's saying. He's not saying
Well, then,
crime
yeah, well,
was, but
yeah.
He's not saying you're a criminal. He's saying
I know.
you're defending that. Okay, yeah.
No, but I think he's suggesting that that I'm earning too much money from the work that I'm doing.
No. He's just
Agreed.
joking. He's making a joke.
I know he is. Yeah. I know he is. But yeah, there we go. That's fine.
No, I don't think you earn too much. I don't think lawyers earn
me
too
neither.
much. It's like,
Not here.
It costs money.
Not over here. They don't. Not over here. Don't let the Apple AirPod Max fool you.
Right.
But yeah,
Or of course the imported wardrobe. Don't
Yes.
let that fool you either. I mean,
imported wardrobe. I like that. That's funny. Yeah. The comments about felt you guys were pushing people to upgrading, and it's like we aren't.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
And it's that.
No.
And I was warned by multiple people when I got my Kaleidoscape. I've told you guys this. I don't know if I said it on the air, but I've been warned, and like, you're going to turn your listeners off. And I'm like, well, then that's on me, because I mean, I always wanted one, even when I couldn't have one. But if I knew somebody that had one, I wasn't like, well, I can't listen to you anymore about this stuff, because that's not fair. But yeah, no, we've all been there. We all started somewhere, and there's always somebody. I was raised on that. There's always somebody with something better, and there's always somebody with something worse. So be thankful for what you have, and and everybody else should be too, for what they have, not for what I have. All right. Let's see. The mysterious Marantz setting change. Hi, DJ. In this week's Takeover Tuesday with Omar, I heard you guys talking about the mysterious settings changes in you guys' Marantz. I have experienced the same thing. I don't know for sure, but I suspect it may be happening due to a firmware update. Every time there's a firmware update on my 7706, I reload my Odyssey settings, so maybe the firmware updates have something to do with these mysteries. And maybe there's something in the updates that fiddles with some settings. I have disabled auto updating of firmware so I can control it and investigate what's being updated before applying it. And it's pretty easy to miss the firmware update notifications because they don't stay on the screen until responded to. So if auto update is on and an update gets applied, you might not even know it. This is just a theory, and I wanted to share it from Mark Hader. Have a good weekend, Mark Hader, who was just on HT Tours. We hosted. Great guy. Yeah, I actually, because of Mark, I replied to him, and I changed my settings on my Marantz. And before I did, my settings, everything was shut off. My Odyssey was shut off. Everything was shut off. And even like now, my reference settings that I have at the bottom, my quick selects, those stay the same. So those don't go away. But what does happen is, so say you put in a movie that's DTS Master Audio, typically it should just go right to your whatever you upmixing, right? Because I always upmix anyways. And sometimes it does, and sometimes every now and then I'll be like, oh, why is it going to, it's in movie mode, not, I like game mode, which is more discreet. And it'll be in movie mode. And I'm like, why is it starting in there? And it's like, all right, let's go and check. Boom, boom, boom. And of course, everything is. So I don't know if an update came out, but I changed my settings anyway. So it's a good theory. But I check almost, especially if it's a big movie that I really want to enjoy and experience. I don't want to miss out on the right setting. So I always go in. It takes 2 seconds while the movie's starting. Go, boom, yep, everything's good. So just don't take anything for granted with tech. That's all you can do, right?
Yeah. Before I start every film, I will check not only on the on-screen graphics, I will check the front of the receiver, which of course is in a separate room. So I will get up, go and check it, make sure it's running Atmos, DTS:X, or it's up, or it's Neural X or Dolby Surround. I won't start the film until I know that is all working. It's just OCD, but at least know, then you're not going to find it out halfway through.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. That's what's nice about the app now is because I don't like anything on my screen. I don't like volume buttons going across my screen. Everything's off of my screen. All I get is the movie, the content. But I can just pick up my phone and it's just like seeing the front of my, equipment rack and be like, yep, Atmos, DTSX, whatever it is. So, John, you want to read this next one? Because this really does pertain to you and I, to you. You'll see
to
why.
me?
Yeah.
Well, I've read it. I just read it, but okay.
Out loud.
Mike Schramm. Well, no, I just don't know how it pertains to me, but
I'll tell you.
because I have no answer for this, you're going to have to answer it.
Right.
From Mike Schramm. All right, got a technical question for you. I recently watched a video about how clipping is more common in HT speakers than most people think. Oh, okay, I get it. I know I've got to stop watching this stuff in brackets.
There you go.
Yeah, that's me as well. I'm not sure I have ever heard clipping before, so I'm not sure what I am listening for. I've got an Emotiva Basics A7 giving my Ultra bookshelves 90 watts each. While watching Maverick yesterday at minus 16 decibel, I thought I heard something, but it very well could have been the soundtrack. The frame of the jet bending, wind blowing by the jet, etc. Would my speakers even clip with 90 watts at minus 16 decibels from about 10 feet away, or am I hearing what I am supposed to be hearing? So yeah, take it away, DJ, because I don't.
Yeah, I replied
to
Mike, but I wanted to put this in the show because this is the power of salesmanship. It's the power of suggestion. It's the power of anything. You hear something and then all of a sudden you're like, am I getting that? Am I losing that? And I've had people email me questions about display settings, projector settings. I heard that this display does this and this is the one that I just bought and now am I getting that too? And what am I don't listen to this stuff. It's a bunch of people talking about something they know nothing about, and they're spitballing, or they think they know. For us to clip, especially in our theaters, especially a lot of these people. Now, it doesn't mean anybody listening to the show couldn't possibly be clipping, but the idea of clipping happens when you go past what a specific piece is capable of. Okay, your amplifier might clip it. Maybe it doesn't have enough power that you're requesting, because you get in. And I love how Mike put in like 10 feet away. That really doesn't have anything to do with clipping unless when you get into your Odyssey settings, because the 10 feet away is just what you need to hear at reference level. And it's when you're setting the microphones, measuring how far away it is. So how loud do I have to make this to get you reference at that microphone level for the Odyssey settings? If you're running Odyssey or whatever EQ you're running, at minus 16 dB, there's no way you're going to be clipping on a SVS anything. And of course, and running with an Emotiva, you're at 90 decibels. You're absolutely fine. And this is why it's like you read these things. I'm guilty of it too. I see this stuff.
I'm very guilty of it.
Right. And it's like, but I'm much better at it now because I've been smacked down so many times by Jim. And like, because I'd call him for years and he'd be like yelling at me, stop reading this stuff. And it's like, they don't know what they're talking about. But it's that power of suggestion. It's like, and like poor Mike's sitting there going, I think I hear it. I think I hear what he's talking. I'm like, no, no, you're not. And you don't worry about it. Don't read those things. And just like we said, with the guy with the speakers on either side of his television, enjoy your stuff. And then if you want to get an upgrade, or you think, you want to get an upgrade, get some sound treatments and get closer to reference level. That's going to be like for Mike here, for instance, get closer to reference level. You can't, it's virtually impossible to be clipping with this setup at minus 16 dB. And I even said to Mike, I'm like, what you actually are, and it's not called clipping, you are doing a certain version of clipping because you're probably some of the lower end is probably inaudible, right? Because you're 16 dB below what the reference is supposed to be. So some of those little quieter sound, like a mosquito off to the left, you probably can't even hear it. But that's not called clipping, right? So
But only go to reference levels if it's comfortable. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear mosquitoes or anybody else. Because you'll deafen yourself.
Right. Exactly. But that's why I said, John, this is up your alley, because I'm Jim and John's
I go down
me.
a lot of rabbit
And
holes.
John texts me not all the time anymore, but it's like, what does this mean? What do I think about this? And then it'll be like, okay, where did you see that? YouTube or
It's usually YouTube
Facebook.
or Facebook.
Facebook's famous for it.
Yeah.
So, all right. You want to do Chris Brown? Another RRR comment?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What, do you want to do that? Do you want me to do that one?
Yeah, do it quick, because I think we commented on it last
Yeah,
time.
you actually
exactly. This is kind of an echo of the earlier one, isn't
Yeah,
it? And so super quick. So Chris Brown, again, replying to the Oscar and home theatre experience on the same point of RRR. He says, so what I've gathered, it wasn't nominated for Best Foreign Film because India didn't submit it for consideration. Each country only gets one nomination. They submitted a more Academy-friendly film, quote, last film show, end quote. So there was no way it was getting a Best Picture nomination if its own country didn't even nominate it for consideration. It's just a messed up system. Germany nominated All Quiet for foreign, and that got it into Best Picture. Worked for Germany and backfired for India. Yeah, but I still don't understand how you can submit it for one, and then if All Quiet on the Western Front was submitted for foreign film and then it makes it Best Picture, why not submitting it for Best Original Song? Can't get you into it, but there we go. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I was just throwing a dart at maybe you just picked where you wanted it to land. I don't know.
right.
Have you seen that video on very quick? Have you seen that video on Twitter or YouTube with the director talking to James Cameron? And James Cameron, because the guy that directed it hasn't done many films, and James Cameron is geeking out. They're at a party, and someone's just got a camera and a mic, and he is geeking out with the director. The director's just like, you like my film? You like my film? And he is just, and the two of them are just this love fest. It's great.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
No, I haven't seen it.
No, I got to see that. I will read this last one.
Leave out the first
I
three
like
how it
words.
starts.
I was just going to say, the Star Wars Chasm Echo was mixed lower in later releases. You can go down that deep rabbit hole with all the different Star Wars A New Hope sound mixes. All right, and that will do it for this week's VJ wrote that. I didn't even say who wrote it. VJ's comment from Oscar on the home theater experience, and he did start out with "Steve is correct." So
Steve,
we're gonna
the
have
voice
to
of the
rename
people,
this
George.
show.
Yeah. That's the title.
Yeah.
Steve is correct.
Yeah, that ought to look good.
Steve and the Brightside Chat.
Yeah, exactly.
And Steve in the chorus.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Steve. What are we doing next? You want to bring us along? We're gonna do 4K.
Did you want to do next week's releases? I mean,
There we
obviously,
go.
so we're correct, so we've got to do it correctly, obviously.
Exactly.
I'll be curious to know how much is out there because there's loads out here next week.
I didn't hear anything you said. The sounder was playing.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Got to stop doing that. I keep.
Well, we don't know because we can't hear it.
Oh, I know. I know, but I still have to play it for my marker.
Yeah.
Next week. The disc drops next week. Wakanda Forever. Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
'Cause digital, it's on. Yeah. Digital, it drops, tomorrow. By the time this is out. Yeah. By the time this is out, it'll be out digitally. So I'm looking forward to that because I'm hoping that Kaleidoscape, Disney gets no pre-sales or nothing on Kaleidoscape. It's just when it drops on Disney Plus, it'll be there on my Kaleidoscape tomorrow. I'll have to buy it, but it'll be available for me.
Ralph wasn't too keen on it, was he?
No, he had a great review of it. I liked that review. I liked what he said. And it's like I said in my tweet back to him, I'm like, that's kind of how I felt in the theater, and I was hoping for something better. I'll be interested to see, though, with the Kaleidoscape, when it comes out, what the download is on it and see if it's comparable, because Disney does do the 66 gigabytes, and this movie's, it's a fairly long movie too, right? What's the minutes on it? 160?
2 hours, 25,
240,
something like that.
Yeah,
like that.
so that could be, they could be compressing that for, if they put it, I know it's coming out on a 66 gigabyte disc. So they could be. It'll be interesting to see what we end up with on Kaleidoscape for actual size of the download on the 4K.
Right.
So, Bubba Hotep in 4K from 2002. Never heard of that. Have you heard of it, Steve?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
like
I've heard of it,
Elvis
not seen it.
versus the zombies or
Mummy,
something like
yeah,
that. The
yeah.
Mummy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Bruce Campbell, isn't it? Is it
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell?
Yeah.
I think it is.
It's actually supposed to be really good. I've just not
Yeah,
seen it.
it's a cult. It's a cult film. We've got to be careful, fellas. We're going to ruin our street cred here by
I know.
by not having seen these films.
I got no street cred.
It's like someone saying they haven't seen The Big Lebowski, John. I mean, honestly,
I know.
Just
Can you
shocking,
imagine?
I know.
isn't it, really?
It's like I'm about the home theater experiences. That's how I started
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
podcast. I thought I'd talk about Star Wars for about 6 weeks, and
He's
everybody.
got every copy of Bloodshot that was ever bought by anybody,
Right,
but not
but
seen The
not
Big
the-
Lebowski.
Yeah.
I never said I was intelligent. I never claimed to be any of that. So I'm here for. I don't know what I'm here for. I'm here to run the board. That's what I'm here for. It's like,
To be the chorus.
yeah,
That's right.
there you go. 3 colors in 4K from 93 to
Don't know that one.
94. I don't know what that is. It's probably a
Is that
Big
not the Three
Lebowski
Colours
sequel.
trilogy, is it?
No.
No. It's not the Three Colors trilogy, is it?
No, is that a
I've heard of
joke?
it. I haven't seen it, but I've
I
heard
don't
of
know
it.
what I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. It's just it's coming to 4K. It's a Criterion too. Blue, white, red, 3 colors
There
by.
you go, Three Colors trilogy. There you go.
Yeah.
So okay.
Oh well, I haven't seen it.
The Return of Swamp Thing in 4K from 1989. Oh, that's interesting. And some Black Panther, more Black Panther steelbooks. Warm Bodies in 4K from 2013. That looks like a horror right up your alley, Steve.
It's Nicholas Holt, I think, isn't it? I think that's it's a sort of zombie romantic comedy type thing, I think.
Okay.
Might be
And
wrong.
Legions of Superheroes in 4K. DC Legions of Superheroes. So I haven't heard of that one yet. So and another Bubba Hotep in Steelbook. Also, all that's available next week, February 7th, Tuesday, February 7th. So
Awesome.
that will.
Have you guys picked up, by the way, while we're talking about new releases, have you guys picked up The Italian Job or
No.
Dawn of the Dead? They're on their way across the Atlantic to me as we speak, hopefully.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
So looking forward to those. Can't wait to see
They
those
came
two
out
again.
today, right? As
Yeah,
we speak,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah. No, I haven't gotten anything. I haven't ordered anything. I'm lucky to. I need to get to my stuff as quick as I can right now. So, but I have a pretty good list this week. Speaking of that, let's get to this week's listener experiences. We're getting right along here. We're only an hour in, so there you go. We're Steve might get to bed on time tonight.
He might. Yeah.
He might.
Just as the sun's coming up.
There you go. Who wants to go for? Why don't I actually have the longest list this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go.
All right. Let's see. I'll go first with Salt. I watched. I wish I could remember what triggered it, like why I wanted to watch it. But I don't know. Something came up, and I was like, okay, I'll just see if it's available. It was available on Kaleidoscape. I got it in 4K, Dolby Atmos. Really, Angelina Jolie. What's his name? Ray Donovan.
Oh, Liev
Liev
Schreiber.
Schreiber.
Liv Schreiber. Yeah. Have you guys seen this?
Yes.
Yeah, a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Well,
yeah, it's from
yeah.
2010.
Probably. Yeah.
2010.
Well, that was
I've got a
13 years
I've got a
ago.
Blu-ray. Yeah, it was one of the early Sony Blu-ray releases.
Yeah.
It's
And I seem to remember it being pretty decent. I've got it, and it's
Yeah.
just one of those that it's solid but not
Yep.
earth-shattering.
exactly.
That's how I kind of remember it.
Exactly. It's solid, not earth-shattering. I really did enjoy it. I like Angelina Jolie. I liked this movie when I first saw it. My son came in for the end of it. We actually watched this as a family years ago when we had family movie night, and this one came up. So there, me, my wife, my son, and my daughter sitting there watching Salt. So I mean, I loved it. Good story. It's a fun home theater. I don't know if I would say buy it, because I don't think the payoff is there in quality for the disc. But if you've never seen it, it's a fun story. It's a good home theater experience that'll probably play well streaming. I don't know where it would be streaming right now, but you could probably get it somewhere or rent it. But I really like it, and it was a fun revisit for me. So, who wants to go next?
I want to know about Coda. John, do tell.
Yeah. Yeah, so I showed last week on the show, I imported the 4K disc for Coda. Now, this is an Apple TV film, and a couple of things that were interesting here, because this is on Apple TV and 4K and Dolby Atmos. The disc, however, does not have Dolby Atmos. It just has 5.1 master audio. And of course, I upmixed it to Neural X, and it sounded great for what it is. Again, this is not a necessarily home theater movie, but there's a lot of music in it, and I enjoy that, and it sounded really, really good. Another thing I noticed that was confusing, because again, I don't know why this would happen, but this is like the fourth time now I've seen this movie. I've seen it 3 times on Apple TV in the past year, so I'm pretty familiar with it. I really like this movie, if you couldn't tell. But this is an English language movie, but being that it has a lot of signing that takes place in the movie, there's a lot of subtitles, because you're reading all of the signing. Subtitles, I would have thought, were just part of the film transfer themselves, right? You would believe. But when I watched it on disc, I noticed a bunch of inconsistencies, like spelling errors and things where words were left out of sentences that I would have definitely noticed when I was watching it on Apple TV. It's almost like they took the subtitles out, and then somebody in Italy put them back in and didn't get them all 100% correct. But I don't know why that would happen. I'm actually really, really tempted to go back and watch it again on Apple TV now, just to see if I can pick these things out. But all that being said, I don't know that this movie really gained a lot by going to the 4K disc, because it's just not that type of movie. It did look fantastic on 4K, obviously, and it sounded really, really good, but I almost feel like the Apple TV stream is probably good enough for this. I wanted to own it because I really, really like this movie. I would say watch it. Just watch it on the Apple TV, because as we've said, their quality is pretty good to begin with. So I don't know, unless you're a fanatic like me and just really love it and wanted to own it in case it ever goes away on Apple TV. But I think the stream is probably good enough for it. So
I was going to ask you that exact question, because I when you said you'd imported it last week, I looked it up on Amazon, and it's still quite expensive.
It's pricey
just to import it here. So I thought, should I? So this is what I really wanted to hear what you thought about it, to do it, because I haven't seen it yet, and I was thinking, should I watch it on Apple TV or just go physical media? But okay,
I would say just watch it. Yeah, just watch it. Now again, I have a kind of an unnatural appreciation for this movie. I really, really like it a lot. So I'm happy to own it. And, I paid almost Lawrence of Arabia money to get this thing imported, but I'm not disappointed with it at all. I'm happy to have it.
But that's part of it. I've got some. I'll make that comment in here on a few others. But when a movie is that good, you want to see it in the best quality, right? And it doesn't have to be the home theater experience, like a Transformers, where it's like the whole room explodes. But if it's a high quality movie, you want to experience it like when you were in the theater at the best possible quality. So and you're willing to pay for that, right? And that I think that's part of the experience. And we're going to talk about. Well, I actually have, I'm looking at my list here, two more here that probably wouldn't be a normal home theater experience type thing. But man, I'm like, thankful that I had the home theater experience that I had with these things. So,
Right.
I mean, that's, like you said, John, it's like maybe nobody else would like that, but you did, and that's awesome. So,
Right.
Also,
Well, and again,
if you find a film sorry, go on.
Well,
John,
I was just going to say, for me, who's also like actively studying and trying to learn Italian, this thing was, dubbed into Italian, and I'm going to watch it more than once in that language, and with Italian subtitles, without them, it's going to be a good reference for me that way as well. I probably could do that on Apple TV as well, because most movies have alternate language tracks, but
right.
I'm going to take advantage of that too. So
Cool. Yeah. All right, Steve, what are you going with first? Steve
Okay,
with the
well,
smallest list this week.
I know, yeah, no, I know, and yes, never mind. It's quality, not quantity.
No, the last few weeks we've been like, does he work?
Yeah, well, quite, yeah. Okay, so what's the name of this first one, Deej? Did you want to say what it was called?
Over the Bridges.
Over the Bridges. So, this is
What,
In
am I wrong?
Bruges. It possibly. In Bruges.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, so this is in Bruges.
Yeah.
It came. It's out on a special edition 4K disc, which is only out over there. I think it's a Shout release, I believe. So it's out 4K disc in the States. I had it imported. Now, this is a film I'd never seen before. This is another one of those cult classic movies that came out kind of the way I remember it is sort of around the time that you were having movies like Pulp Fiction, although this was clearly a long time after, but inspired perhaps by things like Pulp Fiction, where you've got, a couple of hitmen and they're just talking and there's not a lot of action. It's just this sort of thing. And the film came and went, and I never saw it. And lots of people that I know have said it's great and that it should be watched. And so I thought, right, well, it's coming out in 4K. Now's the chance to see it. So I imported it from the States. Didn't cost too much, it was a normal amount. And came over, and I had a chance to watch it last Friday, I think it was. And it's not like Pulp Fiction. That's kind of how it begins, very briefly. But it then takes a very, very different turn. It's starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. We'll talk more about them in a moment. And it's directed by a guy called Martin McDonagh, who we will also talk about more in a minute. And it is much more to it than Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction, you've got your kind of your snappy dialogue. It's all quite fluffy. There's no real subtext to Pulp Fiction, I wouldn't say. And so my presumption that this would be similar, again, is probably more my ignorance than anything else. And if anyone's listening that's related to Martin McDonagh, please don't, think that I'm besmirching him, because I'm not. As I said, my ignorance, not his. And as I said, it takes a turn halfway through maybe, and it moves towards the existential. And not everything you are seeing is exactly as you are seeing it, and clearly there is more going on. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. There is a bit in it. It's actually quite difficult to watch. I'm not going to spoil it because anyone that hasn't seen it should. And there is a bit in it that's quite difficult to watch. It's quite a tough thing, and it comes out of nowhere. You don't really realize you're seeing it until you see it, and then it becomes a different kind of film. But it's very, very good indeed, and I do recommend it. And in terms of the home theater side of it, the picture quality is very, very nice for a movie from that era, shot on film and a very, very low budget. It was a dime a dozen budget. It looks great. It's been really lovingly remastered. The flesh tones are gorgeous. The detail levels are off the charts. The HDR really adds something to it. Again, I put some pictures up on Twitter just for Omar. So they're all up on there, and so have a little look at those. The audio is only DTS 5.1, but again, it's nice. There's lots of talking as they're walking down the Bruges streets, and you can hear bells in the background. You can hear conversations going on. It's good. It's very good and well worth seeing. And I don't want to spoil it at all, because if you go in just knowing what I've said, that will not hopefully then ruin it for you. But it's very, very, very good movie. That's one worth buying.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll talk later about another one that relates to this. And because of that, I'm going to be picking this one up as well. So,
You'll be glad you did.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to it. So, all right. My next one, quickly. I started Westworld again. I've owned Westworld on. Actually, I own all the seasons, 4K physical, but it just dropped on Kaleidoscape season 1, so I grabbed it and started watching it on there, and it is awesome. It is amazing. It sounds so good. It is in Atmos, 4K with Atmos, and I actually pulled the disc out and I started watching that, and that's where you get that little, it's just that hair better. It's just, and it's like, you wouldn't know it, but it's just like, there's something about it, about the picture, and especially in a show like Westworld, which is so heavily, like, there's a lot of special effects to it, but the picture means a lot in this. And like, in that early scene when the fly is walking on her eye and stuff, and I was looking at that back and forth. I can't describe it. It's like my wife has commented on it, not on this particular case. I think we were doing Jurassic World, but it's like you can't put your finger on it, but it's like there's a film on the screen, just a very slight film that's just taking a little bit of the clarity away. And then when you go to the Kaleidoscape, it's just that much crisper. And it's, again, it's hard to tell, but it is there. And experiencing this, I've never gotten to season 2. My son's gone all the way through. I gave it to him for Christmas. He really likes the series. I like the series too, what I've seen so far. And I'm 2 episodes in. I think I've only watched 4 episodes in my life. So, but it's been a while. So even like these 2 episodes, I'm like, I don't remember this. Again, I'm that goldfish. I was like, this is all new, but it is. It's one thing I will say. It is, and just like the disc, I don't know if you guys have watched the disc on this, but it is high volume. It is a very loud track, almost to the point that I almost backed off a reference level. It was that loud. It's really? Yeah, the whole track. But once you settle in and get used to it, it's pretty good.
I watched, and again, all on HBO, but I watched season 1 and 1 or 2 episodes of season 2. I am too stupid for this show. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand it. I really didn't know. I don't know what's going on. I couldn't follow it. Either it can't be followed or I'm not able to follow it. Right. But I gave up. I couldn't do it. So,
yeah. I've got season 1 in 4K, and I never got beyond the season 1. I got bored of it. It was too much like homework and not enough entertainment for me. You can for me, I can concentrate for a certain period of time, and then it becomes a chore. And at that point, I'm like, right, that's me done. Then, I didn't dislike it. I just found that it was just becoming kind of convoluted for its own sake. At least that's how it appeared, and then that's that for me. I'm thinking, well, I don't go into my theatre to do homework necessarily. I go in there to sit down and enjoy myself. Well, you two do. I'll give you that homework, but I don't. Right. So it's I don't go in there to have to work at something necessarily. If it's a film like Tenet, I went in there thinking, right, I've got to focus on it. That was okay. A couple of hours, that's all right. But, hour after hour after hour, I think I burned through.
Maybe that's why, I couldn't do it. Yeah,
quickly.
I couldn't keep up with
work.
it.
Yeah, it's not what I'd watch stuff for. But yeah, well, in which case, John, we're both too stupid for it.
Exactly,
and that's fine. If it is that's I don't mind that. I'm
or
quite
you're too smart and I'm stupid, and it just goes over my head, and I'm just like, pretty colors.
I've got enough to watch that I can do without it. Know.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm enjoying it so far. I'll be interested to see what I think by the time I get to the end of it. So maybe I'll be right there with you. I don't know, because you're right, John. It's like, when we have this much to watch, why are we going and killing ourselves? Like, I don't need this. So, all right. What do you got now? Ooh, I like this next one, John.
For me?
Yep.
So I watched season 2 of Vikings Valhalla on Netflix. This is in 4K. It's in Dolby Atmos. Home theater wise, it's good, not great. It's, I'm not going to put it up where there was some of the other stuff that Netflix has done recently, like Stranger Things and nothing else is coming to mind necessarily, but I had. It looked really good, like the HDR 4K. It looks great, but the sound was there. It was a good mix, but it didn't blow me away. And then I found the season to just be okay. I liked season 1 quite a bit. I know, Steve, you said you weren't even finished with season 1, so I guess
I haven't got to Valhalla yet.
Yeah.
No, I'm still in season 4 of Vikings.
Oh, you're still watching Vikings?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I liked season 1 quite a bit. This one felt to me like I was just watching a bunch of episodes, but there was no real stake. Like, it didn't feel like anything was really building, or that there was really any big, like, MacGuffin or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there was just nothing that it was really built. There was no big bad guy that they were trying to get to. There was no boss to fight at the end of the episode. Season or whatever. It's, it built a lot of story, and this isn't the last season. It's been renewed at least for one more, possibly 2. So, but I just found it okay. Like, I enjoyed it. We watched it. We went through it all, but I just kept thinking, what are we building towards? Like, what's the big thing that's happening in this season? And I really, there was a lot of little minor side quests that were going on, but no real big boss fight for me. So, and you kind of look for that at the end of every season of something like this. There's always the one tyrant or warlord that they need to go overthrow, and it wasn't really happening here. But if you liked, if you liked the show and if you liked Vikings, it's definitely worth a watch. It just, like I said, it was serviceable, but it didn't do anything necessarily to blow my socks off, so that was that.
Bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's definitely a watch. Like, I like these things, and I was right. Never not going to watch it or finish it, but I just, like I said, it didn't do anything spectacular for me. So
just have to watch The Northman again.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Yeah, it didn't do that. Right,
Yeah.
right. It didn't do anything like that. So.
All right. All right, Steve, your next one here, we're gonna save that for last. I'm thinking show title on that one. So we'll save that for the back of the store. That's the last bit of milk.
Alrighty. Okay. Shall we do my next one down then after that?
Yeah.
Because John's seen this as well, and I don't know if you've seen it, Deej.
No, I'm sad I didn't get to see it. We could have all joined in. But I am looking forward to it. I'm going to I watch it on Kaleidoscape.
Yeah, so this is DC's League of Super Pets. And I think I have a habit of just calling it Super Pets. So apologies for that. And I had trouble. You know how I've got, it's just funny, quick story. You know how I've got the everything put in their cardboard sleeves and individually labeled and alphabetized. I was looking for League and I couldn't find it. I was thinking, League, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? And eventually realized Super Pets, and that's where I put it.
Oh, jeez.
So I found it eventually. So this is the exactly as it sounds. It's an animated movie where the various pets, including Crypto, the super dog, then encounters another number of other pets who may or may not end up assisting with the Justice League and various ongoing animated hijinks, shall we say. And it's very fun for me. I can't wait to see what John thought of this. It's good fun. It's really, kind of silly, very, very samey. Crypto is voiced by Dwayne Johnson. You've got Kevin Hart as one of the other pets and various other characters.
Ace the Bat Hound. Yeah.
Ace the Bat Hound, that's the one. And it's and it was really good fun. I had a great time. It's the second time I saw it, first time in 4K and in the cinema room. And this was on 4K disc, so it's 4K with Atmos. And the home theater experience is really good. It looks amazing, very colorful. The wider color gamut's put to great use. And the audio, I thought certainly the Atmos track was beefy. There's some proper punches and kicks and some decent kind of LFE in this, and the surround speakers are put to good use. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So what did you think, John? I'm really curious to see what you think.
And John
so I watched it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it on HBO Max, which did have 4K Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. And yeah, as far as the track goes, I felt the same even with the stream. Like this had a pretty good Atmos track. There was some good bass. It was very, like I said, it was very punchy. And yeah, it was just fun. It's a fun, silly movie, kids movie.
Yeah.
But like for me, there's tons of little Easter eggs and things, that go back to the Justice League and the comics. But yeah, this was a little misleading to me a bit from the trailers. I thought this was a little different than what it ended up being, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Now, I didn't know that this was even part of the movie, but did you stick around for the after credit scene? Okay, I didn't even know this was. I didn't even know it was.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to ruin it, but I didn't know it was there. Like the movie ended while we were eating dinner, and usually I'll put whatever we're watching on pause so we can clean the dishes and clean the kitchen or whatever. But it was just the credits rolling, so I just left them rolling, and I was cleaning the kitchen, and then all of a sudden I heard more talking, and I turned around and there was the scene there. So I would have never found it and never known it was there, and it was brilliant. That end credit scene was great. So
there's two. There are two. There's one at the very end as well. There are two. So you've got your kind of mid credits and then an end credits scene.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, the very end one is awesome,
it's
and
really
particularly given who is voicing Crypto and what happens then without giving anything more away. But yeah, it's a really fun movie. I think it's great. It deserved a bit more plaudits than it's got, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it was I said, it was very enjoyable. My wife came home halfway through and she's like, "What are you watching?" But then she sat down and watched the rest of it with me as we were eating. So yeah, it was really good.
Nice.
Good stuff. Oh, nice. Good. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I must admit, I didn't think you were one for animated kind of kids.
Oh,
films.
I know I am actually. I'm a big Disney guy, Pixar guy. I just haven't watched a lot lately. But I do enjoy them.
Nice. Well, Puss in Boots. We're going to come to.
I know it's on my list.
Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots.
I've got it. We'll get to that.
I know.
So, but yeah, no, I'm glad you got that. That's good. I can't wait to see it. I've been looking forward to that one for a long time. I asked you about it a couple weeks ago, Steve. Like how if it's worth buying.
Yeah, I hadn't got to it. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's good.
I almost watched that this week, but I went with another animated and I actually got to this because of all the conversation. But it was before all the conversation actually took place that I'm like, all right, I'll be the last one to really. Actually, John would be now, but we'll get to that one later.
I haven't seen it.
But yeah, all right. Who's that? You're
next, aren't you? I think you.
Okay. You're next.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know who went on that. If it was John or you, but all right.
That was Steve.
My next one was kind of a Shawshank. Got a rabbit hole. Harry Potter in the Sorcerer's Stone, the first one. I bought it on Kaleidoscape. It's in 4K, DTSX. And, well, as I am wont to do, I like to test my system. And the opening scene to this is one of the scenes that is why I bought my Lumigen. Is because the opening scene to this, when you see what the owl or whatever fly through and the lights against the black backdrop, my system, it was like getting blocky in the background. And I just couldn't have that. When I played the disc on, Panasonic 820, that played perfectly clean. When I played this through my Zapiti, full everything, because it just sends the entire thing, this is where it would have trouble. So that was this is one of my test movies. And I hadn't owned it on Kaleidoscape yet because I watched it on disc. I watched it on Zapiti and everything looked great, but I was like, you know what, I'll try it. I'm not a huge Harry Potter guy, but I was like, they are decent movies. They are great home theater experiences. So I put this in, and it is in DTSX, and I just ended up going all the way through it, and it is beautiful. I mean, just like the disc, just like anything. I mean, and going back through, this is the first time I because we've gone all the way back through because of chat. We went through the series, and this is my first time kind of revisiting this, and it's just seeing them all again younger and everything, but then just seeing the color, how well it's done. And then I noticed, I haven't bought any others yet, but I'll probably revisit them again just for the home theater part, really. It's because I'm not a big fan of the story. I'm not a big fan of like the whole Harry Potter universe, although I do like the theme park down in Florida. It's fantastic. It's like you're there. I mean, it's awesome. But yeah, the home theater experience is, here we go. I own them in 4K. I own them in Blu-ray because we as a family bought them. And in true fashion as a family, we never watched them. So until we got the 4Ks. So now I'm going back through in the Kaleidoscape. So it is really, really good. And it pushes your system too. The DTS track really pushes the system. Very beefy, to use Steve's phrase, very beefy, very deep as DTS is, and DTSX takes it to another level, and it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So just a little rabbit hole there on a movie that I'm not a big fan of, but home theater.
Home theater. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. And I'm not even familiar with this one. Your next one, John.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on Apple TV, this show dropped on Friday. It's brand new.
That's why. Okay.
It's called Shrinking. This is made by the same people that are behind Ted Lasso. And it stars Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. And they're psychiatrists, as you might be able to tell from the title. Jason Segel is the psychiatrist who's, life is a mess and is going through a really hard time. Harrison Ford is the older mentor. They were like 35-minute episodes or so. They're not long. They're like sitcom level. This was a really, really good show. I liked it a lot. Apple TV, 4K, Dolby Atmos. But again, one of those shows where it's not showing off Dolby Atmos in any way. It's just like Ted Lasso. It's just a dramedy. But really, the thing with Ted Lasso that always got me is like it's a comedy, but it had so much heart behind it. This is going to be the same way. You can already tell by watching it. You're going to get really invested in these characters, and I recommend it. I thought it was really, really good. We got to the end of episode 2 and really wanted to keep going, wishing it was one of those Netflix shows that you could just binge through. Cool. Really good.
All right.
And Harrison Ford now doing his second TV show. Like all of a sudden he's doing TV shows now, because he's doing that 1912 as well. So at 90, he's finally come to TV.
Yeah, well, it's not the same now as it was when he was
not,
younger.
Yeah, it's not. But
that used to be you didn't cross those, but.
Yeah, I think every actor seems to get to that point in their career, if they're lucky enough to still have one, where they think, well, I'm going to just do stuff that interests me. I'm not going to. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I'm just going to have some fun with it. I think we talked that Brad Pitt's in that stage of his career now with things like Bullet Train, and I know there's been some discussion on that in the live chat. And so Bullet Train is again the same sort of thing, just Brad Pitt just having fun, and that seems to be what Harrison Ford is doing, and he's a very capable actor. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I was really glad when I saw you put that on your list, John, because I saw the trailers and they looked good, but I was rather worried it was going to be hour-long episodes, and then you've got
I think maybe they were 40 minutes, kind of right in the middle there, but they went by. Good. Like you kind of want more. Like you don't feel the time at all. So. They were really good
news. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I'll give those a go.
Cool. All right. Who's next?
Well, do you want to skip over mine and then go to another one of yours, DJ? Because you've got the longer list. Because I've only got 2 more.
Sure.
Well, sorry, 3 more. But yeah. Do you want to jump over some of yours?
All righty. Sure. Now, so this one here, we're going to do Terminator 2. And this comes from J. Christian in an email. He says, Terminator 2, I know this is your favorite movie, and I have a question about the Blu-ray audio. I have the Skynet edition, and it says for audio, Dolby Digital EX and DTS HD Master 6.1. What is better for audio, and does the 4K have better audio? Thanks for answering this, and love the podcast. So I went through, and I compared everything. I have the Skynet edition as well, and I compared that DTS-X and the Dolby 4K disc. I also did the 4K disc with the DTS Master Audio 5.1. Skynet edition is 6.1, and then the Kaleidoscape is 4K with Master Audio 5.1. So I went through these, and there's this. I was wondering if the 6.1 would be any different. I was hoping for more separation. Okay, if you can. So the two scenes that I went over and over were the opening scene, which is one of my go-to scenes when I get a new piece in my system. I've watched this scene since the VHS came out. And over that opening scene. It's a demo scene as far as I'm concerned. For you get somebody in and doesn't know what a home theater is, pop this opening scene on. And so I ran that. I know it very well. And I also ran at 1 hour. It's roughly 1 hour, 40 minutes, 30 seconds. Get down. That's the time stamp for when he blows the hole in the wall and it goes across. The camera goes out to the hallway. And I've talked about it many times on this podcast. That's how I gauge my system. I was hoping on that one there, on that particular scene, I was hoping to get more separation from left to right. Okay, when that door blows or when that explosion happens on the left side of your screen and then the door hits with a different kind of a higher pitched thud, clang, I was hoping to get a little bit more because my line of thinking was, back when they did the Dolby and the DTS 6.1s, I was thinking that that's all they had. We didn't have Atmos back then, right? And Cameron doing, watching his movies he loves the pan. Because, Terminator 2, that's why it was such a fun movie to watch. He pulls up on his motorcycle and it's like, vroom, and it pans across the front of the screen. The police car pulls up in front of John Connor's house and it pans across. That's all they had to work with, right? They didn't have Atmos. They didn't have overheads. They didn't have the extravagant sound systems that we have today. So I was hoping with the EX that we would get a little bit more envelopment in the back. It's just not the case. It's just not. I found that, and I watched these I let them play in their native, and then and compared them, everything native. I went through each scene multiple times, each setting, I should say, multiple times, back and forth, trying to hear a difference. And I really, really couldn't. And I think, in my opinion, I think that has more to do with our systems now, right? So, now what I didn't do is I didn't set up a 6.1 system. So when I ran the 6.1 system, it would just give me my rear channels, but that would be like a phantom center. They were just playing the mono. When I run a 5.1 system, there should be nothing coming out of the rear. So but I really did. I just think the rooms, the way these systems are calibrated, everything it just sounds really good. What was really interesting is when you upmixed it. And there was a noticeable improvement in the 4K edition. Now, I don't know if there's not enough information. I don't know. I felt like in the 4K edition, it just had a little bit more dynamic. So, so when you go back and forth on scenes like this, like the beginning scene when the little girl in the red is swinging, at the beginning, and there's a rumble, right? So I'm on a particular scene. I'm like, all right, well, maybe this edition doesn't have the same bass rumble as the other because I'm not feeling a lot of bass rumble in this scene. You go back to the others. Oh yeah. It's exactly the same. You know what I mean? Like you wonder if like, is there more tactile feel in the next one? Nope. It's kind of the same. The 4K between the disc and the Kaleidoscape, it felt like it was slightly more dynamic when you upmixed it with the Neural X than the EX version, than the 6.1 did. Here's the caveat. I know there's a lot of people talking that don't like the 4K picture, but I can't, and I do this, and longtime listeners know I've talked about it a lot of times. I've watched a lot of stuff with my eyes closed, and I did do this on this, and I felt like I heard the difference. But at the same time, when you're watching it with your eyes open, you can't help but notice the difference between the 4K and the 1080p version, because especially on that opening scene in particular, it's a very blue hue to the action scene, right? It's like, because it's the robots, it's nighttime, but then you have the explosions going off, which are that orange and red and bright and stuff. So when you get to that 4K and the vibrancy you get out of that, then the lasers, you can actually see the real colors of the lasers in the 4K edition, whereas in the 1080p, they're like pastels. Right. And it's just like, so when you couple all that together, it's like, you're like, well, I feel like I'm hearing something different, but I'm also experiencing, wait a minute, the explosions look almost 3D, the depth you can see into them. And the same in the scene when the explosion happens and the piece goes across the wall, the red in the background as he's walking down the hall, which also has that blue tint to it, very metallic. And then when he drops the grenade, he reloads it and it goes ting, 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 and you can hear that. That sounded like it was slightly higher pitched on the up mix. Now, I'm wondering, is that because we're using the entire stage that we have available to us in our rooms, right? If you have an Atmos system or an object-based system, and you can spread that sound out, is it able to take advantage of that native 5.1? And it really, and maybe the 6.1 isn't as, I don't know. But I didn't feel a noticeable difference otherwise. And I will say this. They're all fantastic. They're all fantastic. You have to do what I just did to even discern anything, and it's like, if you put one in at home, audio wise, I mean, the picture, you're going to notice a difference. But audio wise, probably not. Although I do say I prefer the neural upmixed, because you get that everything feels more elevated. It feels, and that's probably why it's like things feel like they're placed better around the room. So, but that was a lot of fun. And that's why I said, I'm like, I think I said it to you guys in the pre-show. I'm like, these are the questions that we want. Give us this type of homework. And it's like the three of us doing something like this on a movie that we'd all have. But I mean, it was great. Jay's like, he knows I love Terminator 2, but yeah. And and it was funny doing it. I go to my shelf and I have every single edition. I have the old Blu-ray, the old DVD editions, all of them. And they're all displayed in my theater rack there with all my movies. They're not in the little sleeves. They're still in the original, Steve. But yeah.
Just think how many more editions you could get if you did.
Right, if you put them in sleeves.
I don't think there are more editions.
Yeah, but you
Actually,
can buy them all another 6 times.
I have the laser discs. They're on the shelf in the theater. I have that. There are people that have like the German versions, the Japanese versions, and they buy all of that. I haven't gone that crazy. I buy the ones I can actually understand. Nope, no. Unless they come out with the German or Japanese version on Kaleidoscape. Where I'm drawing the line right there.
Yes, just leaving the door open slightly.
But yeah, Jay, thanks for the homework on that. That was fantastic. Really appreciate that. That was a great question and a lot of fun to do. A lot of fun. I mean, just sitting there, that's my wheelhouse. Back and forth. So, all right.
Back and to the left. Back and to the left.
Yep. All right, John.
I've only got one more as well. So do you want to go down your list a bit?
Sure.
Because you've got a bunch.
It'll be pretty quick anyways. Blackbird season 1, episodes 1 through 3. I was going to go for Apple TV, 4K Atmos. This is another one of those that I was actually. I'm sorry. There's 3. This is one of those that deserves to be seen, and it's not necessarily a home theater experience, but it deserves to be seen in a home theater experience because the picture is that good. I think the story is that good, and you just want, like, it's a lot of it's so far for me, it's a lot of prison settings, it's a lot of light coming through windows, and you get that atmospheric depth that I like. And
there's
but it's
tons of, well, I was just saying there's tons of cafeteria talk, you know, in the Atmos.
Yes.
You know, you really hear that stuff a lot in the prison.
Yeah, and it makes you like, so one of these days, I got to have a conversation that actually pertains to the plot or something where they give a spoiler. Right. And if you happen to be listening to it, you'll get to hear it. That'd be cool. It'd be like, oh, the whole show's been spoiled for me because of the left rear channel.
But that's great.
I like the,
yeah.
I like the HDR stuff from like the opening things where the girl's riding the bike through the cornfields and you've got the sun, either sunrise or sunset. I think sunset, and that again looked beautiful, really 3-dimensional as well. I thought this is. I don't think it's a season; it's a mini series, and I thought it was very, very well done. By the way, did you recognize the guy who he is trying to befriend? Did you recognize the actor? The guy with the mutton chops.
Yeah, well, he's on Richard Jewell, right? Isn't that Richard Jewell?
Oh, more than that. Something you guys have seen even more than that and recently.
I haven't seen
this
show.
I probably know too, but I can't remember. I remember when I watched it that I've seen him in multiple things.
Yeah.
But
do you want to know something you've seen him in recently?
Yeah, go ahead.
He is Stingray in Cobra Kai.
That's right. I did know that. Yeah.
We were halfway through it, watching it,
right,
and it was like, look who that is.
I remember actually even telling. I even told Lydia that. I was like, oh yeah, that's Stingray.
That's funny.
He's very good in it. Really good. As is Taron Egerton. To be fair, he's very good in it as well. It's a great series. I really enjoyed it. Proper. You've got to carry on with it. You can't kind of go away and come back a week later. It's like, well, I need to know where we're going with this.
Well, see, that's the thing is I stopped last week because I think my wife would love it. And I was going to watch it with her upstairs, but then I'm like, but I want to keep doing it in the theater because it. Right. But at the same time, you don't have to do this in the theater. But oh man, it is really good. But I am gonna.
But Jen would like it. Yeah, Jen would.
I know
like
she would. Too. It's like because it's a lot of that. It's a psychological thriller. It's the analysis, which she loves to do.
And I'm able to watch this because it's American. I can watch it without irritating the hell out of anybody that might be near me by going, well, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen. That's ridiculous. Right. It's because it's American. I can just let it wash over me. So that was all right. I could relax and enjoy it.
Everything we do is fantasy anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I just don't know enough about it, so a suspension of disbelief's a lot easier with this.
Yeah, right. Because you're not sure. It's not that you don't disbelieve. I don't know. Maybe
well, it is actually supposedly based on true events, story, but I kind of wonder, like, did they really put this guy in this situation? Like, it seems pretty far fetched, Yeah,
I think it's loose.
They would put this guy.
Rather than based on, if you see what I mean. I mean, they did try something similar with a murder suspect back in the 80s, maybe early 90s here. They tried to put a cellmate in with someone who was already he was in custody for a murder, but it was awaiting trial, and the police put in an undercover cop as his cellmate to get him to confess. And he made certain comments, but the whole thing was deemed inadmissible. It's just entrapment. I mean, you can say whatever you want him to say, So it was all,
it just comes off as bragging or whatever you want to say.
And the police were seriously criticised, as were the officers, for that sort of involvement. But so there we go. But it's a fascinating series though, and really good. And Taron Egerton, potentially the next Wolverine, was really good.
It looks like he's getting in shape for it.
Yeah,
quite. Yes. Yeah.
Cow.
Might be a little bit early yet, but he's but yes, he does. He looks the part, doesn't he? And of course, he was in Hugh Jackman with Eddie the Eagle. They were in that together. So anyway, there we go. But great series.
Yeah. All right, and I'll jump on this next one too.
Okay.
All right, 2 down, 1 to go. I've now seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish on Kaleidoscape, 4K, Dolby Atmos. It was good. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I did enjoy it. I have higher hopes for Super Pets. So DC's League of Super Pets. But Puss in Boots is like, it's not my genre. It's a very good, if you have kids, like, and that's why I said, I'm like, everybody that I watched it because of the comments. I paid $35 for it. I think so I had to pay for it. Because it's out early on Kaleidoscape. But I think it was worth it. I enjoyed it. It's for the show, and I would have paid $24 or whatever when it finally does come out. Who cares? But yeah, the Atmos is good. The 4K, I really can't say the 4K, the HDR really adds a ton to it. The animation on this, I've seen, I didn't think it was that dynamic. I mean, it was nice. Some of the close-ups and the fur and stuff was nice, but it wasn't like, by the end of the movie, I wasn't like, oh, wow, you really got to see this in 4K. This, to me, is one that maybe if you streamed it or whatever, it would be okay. And it's funny, we did see that comment later, and I wanted to comment on that. And we were like, do you buy it in 4K? And they're like, no, they don't care. You know, it was that Mark V, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And, he's like, no, I don't need to do that. They don't care
Well, the
about
kids
that.
won't care.
The
Yeah.
kids won't care.
Yeah.
But I honestly, what did you see it in 4K, Steve? Or you just saw the?
No, this was a screener. It was a 1080p 2-channel. But I was really looking forward to the 4K. I was thinking that it would add something to it, but clearly not. So,
I'm
which
sure
is a
it's
shame.
better than the 1080.
But I'm definitely going to get it in 4K though.
Yeah, I have it. No. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, the 4K is going to be better, but I'm not, it's not like you're like, wow, it's a whole different movie. Because this really kind of is the story. It is, I mean, the Atmos was nice, but it's not like Sonic 2 or something like that. It's not, I didn't feel like it was overwhelming. Like you were like, whoa, what a home theater experience. But it's a fun movie. It's a great home theater experience if you have kids. Right, so it gives you that opportunity to bring the kids in, and you put this on, and you're just like, the whole family can enjoy it. You can enjoy the home theater part. You can analyze and pick apart the 4K, talk about what I'm talking about in your head, while the kids are enjoying the story. It's, great message and all that. So I did enjoy it, but as you know, my kids are older and stuff. It's just like League of Super Pets. Yeah, Pets. That's what, like John said, like all the little, like, I like superheroes. I like comic books. I think I'm gonna that's gonna resonate more with me than this one did. I've never seen a Puss in Boots story. I mean, I picked it up pretty quick. But yeah. So
let me ask you the same question then that I asked Mike Schramm when he saw it. What did you think of the villain? Now, I've got to be careful because I don't want to spoil it, because I think that the villain's identity is a spoiler. But what did you think of it? Because I thought that was right up to the line of what would be acceptable for kids. I thought he was actually very scary for that kind of thing.
Yes.
You know, the whistling, the kind of that, people, what is it he says? People are, people always think they can outrun me, but they always meet me in the end, and all this. And I just thought, wow, really quite full on.
Right. But what's funny is, that's it's a tough one. I think what I thought was interesting about that character was there's enough there that if a child is old enough to understand who that is, that's a conversation that can be had, which is an important conversation, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If the child's younger and doesn't or hasn't really matured to understand who that is, it goes right over their head because you just think of him as a Disney character, right? Because he is a character. They're all characters in this. So, and then there's another part, like there's actually who is the villain of the story, because there's other parts of the story that are going on as well, right? So that's kind of a side story. So I thought it was well crafted for that, for kids. And that's why it's like, watching stuff like that from a kid's perspective, it's like, you know, I think they do a great job with stuff like that. So it wasn't necessarily in your face, but I mean, we know right away. We're like, whoa. Yeah. And it scared us because we know. Another kid wouldn't know. I think a younger kid.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this film. I can't wait to see it again. And it might be one that I actually watch the screener again before I get the 4K disc. But it was right up my alley. I absolutely loved it. And the people I saw it with were just laughing all the way through. And when he talks about his other names, and one of them is Stabby Tabby, I just think that's absolutely brilliant. And I absolutely fantastic. So no, it is I think made for me, a big kid perhaps.
Yeah.
But I absolutely loved it, and it seems to be getting really good reception.
Yeah.
I hope it wins best picture, best animated film. I hope it does, because for me it's personally head and shoulders above the others. But it may be that it goes to Pinocchio, to be fair. But I'd be very happy if it won.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's
right.
good. Yeah. All right, I have one left, and I think each of you have one left before we get to our last two. So, John, you want to go?
Sure. On Netflix, I watched a new series called Lockwood and Co. I know that's company, but they specifically say Co in the show more than once.
Oh, okay.
So I figured I would leave it. I would do that as well.
Cool.
This is in 4K Dolby Atmos. Have either one of you seen anything about this show?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it until it showed up in your notes.
It's based on a series of novels, which I wasn't familiar with. But apparently, for those that are fans of the books, this is like very, very faithful and being very well received. This is kind of a mix of Supernatural meets Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters. They're young teenage kids, so that's where your Stranger Things comes in. But this is essentially a world where ghosts are a known thing. Like, they're out there and everybody knows about it. It's not like just random people having sightings. There's groups of businesses now that are basically training Ghostbusters, and they're licensed ghost hunters. This now is very, very good home theater wise. It looks fantastic. The 4K looks great, and the Atmos here is very good. I've said it a couple times now. Anytime you've got ghosts and things that are going bump in the night, the Atmos really plays into the ambience of what you're watching. So this is I don't know if this is a series of kids books or adults books. Like, I'm not familiar with it at all. It feels a little bit like tweenish, but it's pretty creepy sometimes. Like, it's a little scary. So maybe it's more adult than I'm not sure. I don't know anything about it, but we're only like 3 episodes in, so I don't have all of the story plots here so far, but we've enjoyed it. So far, Lydia and I are enjoying the story. We like the show, and it's a pretty good home theater. Like I said, the Atmos on this is really good. Better than Vikings was, I think.
Oh, cool.
As far as Netflix goes, they've done a really good job with this. But again, it could also be just the material. It lends itself a little bit more to the atmospheric sound than some other shows. Yeah. But so far we like it. I'll let you know next week when we're done with it how what we thought of it overall. But yeah, it's only, I think it's 8 episodes, and we've got like 3 done. So we'll definitely have it finished next week. Cool. And I'll let you know from there. But yeah, so far so good.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. Look at a big smile.
Okay. I might be about to bring the show to a crashing halt. I don't
Why?
know. Let's find out. I'll tell you. Okay.
I know.
So the next one is 8 Mile.
Yep.
Now, I saw this on Friday. Friday evening, I started watching it. I didn't finish it until Sunday. But this needs a bit of explanation for a reason that will become obvious in a moment. So I watched it Friday. I put some pictures up on Twitter, and I woke up on Saturday morning to a tweet from Todd Anderson. And Todd said, when you talk about 8 Mile on the show, you should wrap it.
Oh, jeez.
And I just woke up, and of course I was like, "Oh, what a load of rubbish!" And I said, "If I do that, it'll be rap with a capital C." So,
Right.
yeah. And I said, "There's a reason that there are no posh British rappers," and that was that, right? But then, having just woken up, my brain wouldn't leave it at that.
Nope.
And, and
Here we
go. So 20 minutes later, I had the following. So now,
You wrote
the thing
it
with
out.
this is
Here we go.
just.
Do we have music
so-
too?
I know. Do I have to
Not-
put
not
music
quite.
to this?
No, we're going to acapella this. Anyway, so now the thing is this.
Do
so
we have
obviously,
lines?
No.
Oh, okay. You're
You
like,
might be in it, but you haven't got lines. Let me just give you this. So,
Oh, God.
I've seen Dr. Dre's The Pharmacy. You know, I've heard this. I know how this stuff works. I know how this has got to go. But obviously, if you're going to do this, then you can't be posh. So I was like, got to talk a bit more street in it. Like, it'll be fun. So let's do this. All right. So bear with me, guys.
Oh, we're barren.
There's a reason
I
put this
can't wait,
last.
actually. Yeah, I
brace
can't
yourselves,
wait.
Brace yourselves. Brace yourselves. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go then. So shout out to the Bright Side crew, the man, the myth, the Coda loving legend, DJ Arkham. Shout out to Todd, the Candyman Anderson. And shout out to DJ TJ. They know who they are. And of course, shout out to the man without whom none of this would be possible, the unstoppable DJ Briggs. All right. Look. So Todd told me if I took 8 Mile on the effing show that I should do it via rap, so I'll give it an effing go. Watched in 4K DTSX, man, I'll tell you it's a blast. Sit right back and turn it up because it'll kick your effing ass. Picture quality is great, it really looks so good. Even crap TVs won't spoil it. Knock on wood. Audio is just top notch, it's like an effing Benz and it won't kill your subs like Halloween mother effing ends. So that's my rap, I love this flick and you should pick it up. Or don't, it's up to you, yo man, I couldn't give a flip. So now I've started, I can't stop. I'll shout out just a few. Mike Schramm, Omar, Danny Speakers, Lil Chilly Willy, dude. Mark V, Steve, Brock G, Cornell, thanks for tuning in. And lastly, Adriano's Pizzeria for the effing win.
Damn.
That's the end of that. There you go. That's my 8 bars.
Oh, my God.
That's the highlight. That makes the highlight reel. I think.
Yeah.
I was going to
I put the
have the
applause
hat
in on
and I
that
had
one.
the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you didn't do the hat, yeah.
I was going to get the hat and everything else, but it's too warm to put the
Yeah.
fleece on and the hat over the top.
We're
and
gonna
it'll
have
disconnect
to-
the headphones.
We're going to have to record that without the with the actual
I changed the words.
Yeah.
I changed some
we'll
of the
have
words.
to put that in the green room. Coming soon to
Yeah.
the green room, we'll do the actual
Unedited.
unedited version.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
that
thought
deserves it.
long and hard about that.
Yeah.
I thought I'm not even going to suggest it
Well,
to you
you
guys.
could have done it. It would just would have gone out live on YouTube, but I
Yeah, but
would just go in on the show and beep
Yeah.
it out. But yeah, that was good.
Well,
that was good. We'll do that in the green room.
Okay, I
Anybody
can
in
do
the
it again.
green room, you get to see it real. That was awesome. Great job. Nice writing.
Yeah,
that's
20
a-
minutes of 20 minutes of my life I won't get back, but I thought it was fun, and I had to do it. To
You don't
Todd,
need
'cause I
it
just
back.
couldn't
We
not
have
do
it recorded. You can have it
That's right.
over and over. I'll be playing that in my car. We got to put a beat to
Add
it.
your own stuff.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it.
That was
Anyway,
fantastic.
but it's a good disc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to listen later and try to translate.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you liked
I'm
it
not
or
sure
not.
which way you were going.
It's fine.
No, that was great. That was fantastic.
Now we'll know. Now let's not mention anything to Todd. Now we'll know if he's listening. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we don't say anything about it, we'll know.
He is. I mean, seriously,
No,
he's
he does.
getting
He
into
does.
some
He does.
deep
He
dive. I mean, these aren't short shows, and he's commenting on stuff that's deep in the weeds.
Yeah, he
which
does.
is pretty cool. He's a busy guy,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. Even though I
Okay,
disagree
so-
with him from time to time.
Yeah, especially about Halloween effing ends.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with him. It's just
No,
that's
I
the
know,
yeah
I'm
the sub effect.
Yeah.
All right. This last one, my last one before we get to the last two of the show. Have you seen this, Steve? Have you seen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw this on Amazon Prime a while back. I've been meaning to get the 4K disc, to be fair. Yeah, great.
All
film.
right. So here's what's interesting. I bought this because my dad saw it. He watched it on, I think it's on Netflix or something. He watched it or HBO Max or I don't know where it is. So what I'm talking about, Wrath of Man, Jason Statham, it's who else?
Guy Ritchie film.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Andy Garcia. The guy, what's his name? He's from Mindhunter. I can't remember. Holt. I think Holt. McCoy? No, it's something like that.
No,
Anyways, but he was in
yeah.
Mindhunter. He's one of the lead detectives. He's the bigger guy. Eddie Marson, who was Terry in both of these. He was Terry on Ray Donovan, the brother with the, what did he have? Parkinson's or something?
Yeah, the boxer. He had the boxing gym.
Yeah. But his name's Terry in this too, so apparently he's typecast.
Holt McCallany.
McCallany? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He was also
I think
in, was it Batman v Superman? He was at the he was the criminal at the beginning of that. I remember that because at the same, I think that was it. Remember when Batman goes up?
Justice League.
Oh, was it Justice League?
Yeah, the theatrical Justice League. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. The theatrical Justice League, and Batman's up on the rooftop trying to get out the demons, and yeah. So he's in that too because I was watching Mindhunter at the time. So, but anyways, so I bought this because of my dad, and my dad told me. I thought he told me the entire plot of the movie. And he's just like, and he's this guy. And I'm like, so he told me everything. And I thought, but when you watch the movie, he didn't. And you know, because you've seen the whole movie and how it plays out. Interesting thing is on Kaleidoscape, it's 4K in DTS master audio, but on the disc, it's Atmos.
Yeah.
This here is, and this was almost going to be the title of the show. I was blown away by the track, and I was getting the DTS Master Audio, and this goes up there with the Christopher Nolan movie or something like that, where he doesn't use an object base. You don't need object space. You're going to get it when you buy the disc, but if that disc is anything like what I heard, this is a must own. It is absolutely amazing. The opening scene, super dynamic, sounds all over the bass in this movie, the gunshots. There's one scene, I have it here, 24 minutes, 30 seconds. It's a gunfight, and it sounds amazing. And the drums and everything, the guns, absolutely reference level, this movie. It is, I couldn't get over it. I was just like riveted to my seat just watching this. And then in the final, you know the scene in the final. It's not even the final fight, but there's a gun battle towards the end, and there was gunplay there that I've never heard before. The way they utilize the bullets moving around the room, the shots on one side and what they were hitting on the other side, but the way things went, and it was just so much fun. And that's why I wanted to title it. I wanted to title the show this because I'm like, this is a movie. And I thought a lot about like Hurricane Heist when I was watching this because the reason I wanted to talk about all the actors are in it, I don't know about you, Steve. I didn't find the acting, especially early on. I think a lot of people might be like, what the hell? Especially Holt, whatever his name,
McCallany. Yeah.
McCallany.
Yeah.
I thought he was very... very stiff, very Saturday Night Live sketch-ish, right? Like he's like, hi, we're going to introduce you, because, you know, it's not a spoiler. Jason Statham's new on a job, and he's the one showing him around. Have you met him yet? And it was very pronounced, and I was like, what is going on? It was almost like, just get past that. Because once you get into and once some action starts to hit, you're going to want to stick around. And the story is actually really good, very heartfelt by the end of it. It kind of overwhelms you by the end. I really, really enjoyed it. There's the climactic scene at the end at 1 hour, 47 minutes, 30 seconds. And there's a revving on your left side of your room. And it was just the coolest sound effect. There's no reason for it to be there. It didn't, other than just set the mood of what was going on and what was probably going to happen. But you just heard like a, and And I'm like looking at the left side of my room at the front, and I'm like, what is that for? And it turns out it's for nothing. It just kind of set the mood, the growl of anger, of the wrath of man that was going to be coming. And you're like, here we go. And it was just the coolest effect. It wasn't anything spectacular. It didn't pan or anything, but it was just like, that was cool. And there was a lot of stuff like that throughout this entire movie that I thought, I'm like, this is up there with, I'll be revisiting this often. I don't know. I mean, it was just that good of a home theater experience. So, I can't say enough good things about it. So, what did you think, Steve?
I need to import the disc. I watched it on Amazon Prime months. I mean, we're talking long time ago, probably maybe even as early as the spring. It might have, last spring. And it came out on Blu-ray here. There was a 4K version in France, which very quickly sold out and then became it became a bit, John, a bit like, Lawrence of Arabia. Suddenly it was, it was mega bucks to get it, even from, just across the channel, let alone across the pond. And so I kind of held off and I watched it again. I watched it in 2-channel because it was in the front room. It wasn't in the cinema room because I didn't quite know what to expect. Guy Ritchie's normally very good and he's made some fantastic films, but he's a bit hit and miss. And so I thought, so we watched it in the lounge and it was really good. I really enjoyed it, but I haven't been back to watch it again because I've been in that limbo of, well, if I really want to see it again, I'm only going to want to watch it in 4K. So I will get the 4K disc, and it's just come out over there in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. It's very, very recently there. So I will import it because there's no sign of it coming out here natively, as it were. And it would be cheaper to import it from America than it would be from France. But it was, it's really, really good. Yeah, very, very well done movie. And it's one of Ritchie's better ones. I mean, I like, obviously, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, things like, I mean, I really like Revolver as well, although a lot of people absolutely can't stand that film. Sorry, not Revolver, Rock and Roller. I really like that. And again, loads of people hate that, but I thought it was really fun. And so, and obviously the Sherlock Holmes movies and the live action Aladdin and all that. So he is capable of really good stuff. And this is, I think, it's a really good example of it. So, and obviously Jason Statham, bold bloke solidarity, he is good, and again, he seems to be someone who is maturing into slightly better roles and more complex kind of stuff.
Yeah, more complex, but textbook Jason Statham, right? Like, I mean, he's the. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, you can see it in the trailers. I mean, it's all in the trailer too. He's but it's fun. It's a fun. Like, that's why my dad liked it. My dad was like, "Yeah, he's the best." He's like, I mean, he loved it. But yeah,
it's good. It is really good. I was again when that popped up on your list earlier today. I thought then, oh, brilliant! It's really good to talk to you about that and see what you thought of it. So I will import it based on what you've said about the surround sound at least. And I'll have to get it.
Yeah, and you're going to get the app. I almost want to get the Atmos track and see how it compares. I mean, it's no Bloodsport, but Bloodshot, but but actually I thought it was better than that. And I love Bloodshot, but yeah, it's really good. So all right, let's get to our weekly conversation about The Last of Us, episode 3. Are you full of crow? How you doing, Steve?
Yeah. I absolutely. Well, the question about what do you do to appeal to those that have completed the games and keep them on board, but also then appeal to new things has been answered. And the answer is you take a peripheral character from the game that did have a role to play, but quite a short one, hence the peripheral character, and you give them their own episode, you give them a life literally of their own, and then you carry on with the story. Now, his involvement in the game is quite short, and his what happens in the game is very different, but it's only very short. Whereas I thought this episode was beautiful.
Oh my God!
Frankly, it was it was lovely. It's a modern interpretation of Up. Frankly, it's kind of how I was kind of reading it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very, very well done. And all the way through, again, the person I saw it with was saying, so what is this? What happens in the game? And I'm like, no,
No.
It's-
I don't even know how you'd
not at
play
all.
that.
Yeah, well, quite, yeah, indeed. But it's not. But it's not even how it all ends. Yeah, quite. Well, be some awkward button pressing. I'd say you should be waggling the joystick, but that might be awkward as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. But no, it's beautiful and it's really well told and out of left field. I mean, I just who knew that this is kind of what they were going to do with it. So, I mean, this is fantastic. And suddenly now you can, or I can, forgive the next couple that will be, I'm sure, exactly like the game because I know exactly where they're going next. And if they're prepared to do this and they can do this, then that's a fantastic. We talked about the thin line to tread to not fall foul of that, but that wide line has just widened significantly,
right?
Because they've figured out a way through this. Which was great. So no, I loved it. I thought it was a lovely episode, and only in 2 channels stereo again because of the crap streaming service I've got to watch it on. But it was lovely. Really nice. And I can imagine perhaps there is an action sequence, isn't there, kind of halfway through or whatever it is.
Yes.
That I suppose might be the home cinema bit, although I wouldn't know. But that I imagine would be the one. And you've got rain, and then you've got explosions, and you've got gunfire, and all that stuff.
Yes.
So again, I look forward to that. But no, I don't think that should take away from the story. I read a review from a broadsheet over here, so a paper of record. That was saying that this is possibly some of the best TV of the last 5 years, and I can see why someone would say that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right.
What did you guys think? Sorry, it's me rabbiting on. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What did you guys think of it?
Same. I thought it was brilliant. Like again, never played the game, but I knew watching it that this was a deviation from the game because, like you said, there's no way to play. Like, how do you play that episode in a video game?
How do you play it, or even
honestly,
insert
watching
it as a
it
graphic?
I watched it and just kept thinking, well, I was happy for you, Steve, because I knew that it was going to be something new for you to experience that you weren't watching. Now, whether you liked it or not, I wasn't, I didn't know, but at least I knew you were getting something different from the game.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was great. I also agree that it was very good television. Again, I don't know. I've seen some good things that, I don't know if it's the best thing that I've seen in 5 years, but, and again, I'm the guy that has to go to the Facebook comments on things. And so I've seen a lot of negativity about it as well. It's very 50-50, it's 10 out of 10, the best thing ever, to it's woke crap that shouldn't be on TV, and it's like,
but it's not.
All right.
But
well,
see,
it's not right. Again, I don't agree.
I know.
And I just quickly get myself out of these I don't know why I continue to go to the comment section of anything,
or just Facebook full stop.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's why I don't go there.
I don't know why. Well, Twitter as well, though. You can see the same thing on
really?
Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent. But again, it didn't necessarily make my list as a home theater experience because, like you said, there is an action sequence in the middle that does have some good booms and all of that. But ultimately, the episode wasn't about that. It was just it's a human story that doesn't have a lot of explosions and things happening. So,
right.
But yeah, it was excellent. So, DJ.
So it's just like we did it in rehearsal, right across the bus bench. You segued perfectly into what I wanted to say, and that is, these are the experiences that you need to experience in your home theater. Yes, there is the home theater experience in the middle with the explosions. And Steve, when we get this on this particular episode, when we get the disc, you're going to see, and John and I will see, even though we probably saw a better version of it this week, when we get that disc, those explosions are going to be vibrant, and the light coming through the window, and the way the light is going through the rain that's on the window, and then where are those explosions placed in the room? Because you're in the house, and there's rain, and there's this. That's that little nugget in the middle of what is an hour and 20-minute episode, right?
Yeah, it was long.
It was long, but it didn't feel it at all, because you were riveted the whole time. And like John, I'm like, there's no way this was in the video game, right? I'm like, and it's one of those things. John and I have done this a million times with chat. We'll say something and then we'll be like, hey, it happens. Look at what's going on. And it's fun. And you're like, so like it adds an element for us as like the three of us to be like, we talked about that, which way it was going to go. And now there's three of us here. So we're bound to get a bullseye on something. But one of us is going to come up with the thought. But yeah. I think even during the quieter moments of this, you're just like, to be enveloped in this world, in your home theater, whether it's your living room home theater or a dedicated theater, it's these experiences that if you can take that and enhance these experiences even more, that's what makes this worth it. Could you watch this and be just as emotionally touched and engaged on a regular television, just sitting, watching it when you go to bed at night? Of course, because it's that good of a story. But it deserves to get up and watch this properly, right? In a surround sound environment. And this is going to sound stupid. If you haven't seen it, you won't get it. But the color of those strawberries in 4K, right, John? And it's like when we see that on disc, you're going to know what that meant. You're going to feel what they're feeling, not have, you know what I mean? And be like, it's just, that's, I think, and the next one we're going to talk about, it's the same thing. It's that, but it deserves to be watched in a theater environment, not because of the explosions, but because of the story and how well this is crafted. And I agree with you. This is some of the best television in the last 5 years for the fact that this is a video game.
Right, because it came out of nowhere, right?
It's a video.
This is not what you expected to get when you watched this. When I sat down to watch this episode,
a zombie video game.
Right. It's not what you were hoping for. Or not that it wasn't what you were hoping for, but it wasn't what you thought you were going to get.
You didn't know this is what you wanted.
Right.
Right? And even to the now, John, here's what I'll say about that woke crap. And I thought of this while watching, because I don't read it, but I know it exists, so I don't have to read it to know while I'm watching it. Oh, here we go. People are going to be upset. Right. This is that joke that we used to say on the playground as guys. Right? What if we were the last two on Earth? And you're like, never, man, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I'm like, and it was an amazing, amazing story that it's so well told and like out of left field. And I don't know. I might want to be a prepper. Like, pay it off.
Home theater prepper.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he knew what to buy.
To eat, but it sounds
he
great.
He knew exactly what to go get at Home Depot. You know what I mean? Like, he had his stuff together. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And fantastic episode. Fantastic episode. And
it has this story has its roots more in the second game. Talk about you'd never get a story like this in the game. In the second game, without spoilers, there is an interaction between a couple like this, albeit from a different gender, trying to not talk around,
I've already been spoiled, so I know, because I went to Facebook and read the comments.
So you've got to stop doing that.
I know.
So yeah,
this is the guy. I'm pointing at the screen. I'm pointing at John like, the one
I don't watch trailers.
He doesn't watch trailers because he doesn't want to get spoiled. But he actively goes and seeks out and reads spoilers.
Yeah. So there is certainly in the second game, and of course we're going to get a second season of this, if not more. Which
I think we're getting more. Game. Yeah, way more.
So it'll go into, because the second game is huge. The first game
I don't think that this, and I haven't played the game like John. I don't think the first game is going to be wrapped up by the end of the season. I think
their plan is to be done.
Really?
Because I think they have said that season 2 will be game 2.
Yeah, but I think they're going to spread out, because game 2 is vast, and
it feels like they're already meshing it and adding stuff in. That's why I'm like,
this is. Yeah, I think they will. John will know, because he's read the spoilers, so he will know that at the end of the first game there is an ending that is a very shocking and very difficult ending that will tee up season 2 very nicely. And I think season 2 will be spread out because it's such a vast, sprawling game.
Okay.
And there's a big time jump between the first game and the second game as well, where all kinds of stuff will have happened. So I think they'll do that. But there is a sequence in game 2 where there is an interaction between a couple of a different gender, and that is in the game. And it's actually quite surprising because of how matter of fact it is, but also how just again out of left field it is. So you can do it, but not obviously to the extent that this is done. But no, I mean it's so well done. I mean it was, and again, and as I said, as I was watching it, I was thinking you guys thinking of me, I was thinking of you guys as well, not in that way, and thinking about this question's been answered. This is exactly what we were talking about in terms of how do you keep people on board that have played this and been through it a couple of times. So yeah, it's great. I mean, almost a how-to. This will be copied. This will be emulated by other video game adaptations that are coming along. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Suddenly that question has got a definitive answer. So yeah, it's great. I'm really looking forward to episode 4. And rest assured, chaps, there's some really, really good stuff coming, in terms of how they're going to, there is the next one I know for a fact will introduce 2 more characters that will be, something special. And so, cool. Yeah, it's very, very cool. So, yeah,
awesome.
Great stuff.
Awesome. So, can't wait to talk about it again next week. So, all right. Who wants to introduce this last one? Show title name. Here we go. Everybody listening on Friday knows what it is, but.
I mean, I don't mind doing it. I mean, this is one of our Oscar winners, isn't it? One of our Oscar contenders. So this is the Banshees of Inisherin. I think it is. It might be Inisherin, but I think it's Inisherin from what I can recall, which is another Martin McDonagh film. So the same director of In Bruges, and again starring Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell. And this is very much seen to be a follow-up. It's not a sequel because they're obviously different characters, but it's seen as a follow-up to it. And it's a drama. And it's a drama about, I can pretty much remember the back of the box, so I can do it because I've bought it since this. It's about 2 lifelong friends on a tiny fictional island off the coast of Ireland. And one day, one of them says, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And it's how he deals with it. And it's about how the islanders deal with it. And it's about the relationships. And it's about the extent to which someone will go to change their life and how someone else might change theirs to fit in with it. And and I don't think there's a lot more to say. That's all it is. Yeah. It's just a drama where this unfolds. And it is, I know from my point of view from it, it's absolutely riveting.
Yeah.
And it's stunningly told. It's beautiful to look at.
Yes.
The cinematography on this is absolutely unbelievable. It makes you want to. I said to someone on Twitter earlier, to me, I wanted to step through the screen, buy a pint, and just sit on the beach and just watch the waves lap and just, I would have been quite happy to have done that. Although you'll be sorry to know the pub was built for the production, and because they didn't have planning permission, it's been taken away. It's gone.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's just like, so they built it for it, and they didn't have permission to keep it there, so it's gone. So you can't go and sit outside that pub and have a pint and just watch watch the world go by. How amazing would that have been?
So we also have to say that time period. It's
20s.
Yeah, 1923, I think it is, isn't it? It's between the wars, whilst the Irish Civil War is still going on, which has a part to play, albeit not significantly.
Just that it's there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, indeed. I mean, I didn't know that it was set in times past until I saw the calendar. I didn't realize that. I hadn't really twigged that it was a period piece. I just figured it was, because all the other Martin McDonagh movies, I mean, Calvary and In Bruges have all been contemporary
Present
pieces,
day.
Really. Yeah. So I didn't realize it until I saw the thing. Then it made sense, of course, because no one's got mobile phones and there's no electricity and everything else. But I hadn't really thought about it until that point. But yeah, no, it's lovely. I mean, now I saw it on, I'm sorry to say, my iPad, because I watched it while I was invigilating. I was vigilating an exam last week, and I had 2 hours to kill. And I thought, having seen In Bruges in the morning, I thought, perfect chance to watch it. So I put my AirPods on whilst the students were doing their exam, and I watched the film. And as soon as I started it, I thought I should be seeing this on a big screen. But to make up for it, I have bought it since. So I will watch it again in the cinema room. But I mean, you tell me, fellas. I mean, do you think it needs the sound? I mean, I can't think of much sound.
The visual more than the
Yes.
sound. It's grand in scope. Like, because I watched it on HBO Max. I don't remember if it had Atmos or not. I think it did. But it wasn't about the sound, really. But it was visually striking, like the green and the, just the panorama of it. It's definitely worth seeing on the big screen. I didn't love it. I didn't like it as much as the both of you. I can tell already by I thought it was fine. Like it didn't speak to me, I guess, the same way it did to you. I thought it was. I mean, I understood all. I get all of it. And I thought it was good. Like, I thought it was fine. Like, I don't know that I think it's best picture of the year contender for me. But I appreciate it. Like, and I thought it was beautifully done. It was beautifully acted by both of, well, actually by everybody. I thought the sister was very good as well. What's the
Barry
the kid,
Keoghan,
Barry, the guy from Eternals there. I thought he did a great job. Everybody was excellent in the movie. Very thick Irish, so took a little bit to get used to, but you settle into it after a few minutes. I've watched Peaky Blinders and a bunch of other things, so
Irish.
It's not. I know it's not Irish, but it's
Thick accent.
you gotta have the ear for the accent. I know it's not Irish. Believe me, I know. But it's just being able to.
It's a different dialect, isn't it? It's a different accent.
Pick up the dialogue. It takes a little bit of time, but you settle into it after 10, 15 minutes or so. But yeah, I thought everybody was great in it. Like, but it just I don't know. Like I said, for me, it didn't grip me like that, but I appreciate it. I thought it was excellent. I'm glad I watched it. Don't know that I'll go back to it too many times though. So,
what did you think, Deej?
So, I, as I told you guys earlier, but I'll tell the listeners, I was intending on renting this because it is up for Best Picture. So I wanted to be able to see it. I wanted to check that off the list. And then I watched on CBS Sunday Morning, they did a sit down with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson. Yeah. Sat down with them, and I got the background of when they met, which was on, Under the Bridges. And so that was like, and they have literally become like best friends ever since. They just absolutely, as they say, they absolutely like love each other. And to make this movie here, they were, they talked a little bit about that. But I've always been a Colin Farrell fan, and just listening to them talk about their history and then making this movie, I was like, all right, never mind, not renting. Boom, just bought it on Kaleidoscape, and it's in 4K, DTS 5.1. But it's not about the audio, although it's crystal clear. It's beautifully, rendered. There's the soundtrack and the dialogue, everything. But it's all about the picture. And like you said, you just wanted to step right through your iPad into that scene. And
all right, passive aggressive.
Yeah. I didn't think that was very passive. That was just flat out aggressive. But the one scene, and it grabs you right at the beginning, and you might be able to see it later, Steve. This is a little more passive. When it's bigger, is the rainbow. And it's like one of the early scenes, and it's so
opening scene almost.
Yeah, and it's like right on the left side of your screen, and it's just like you're like, holy! The vibrancy of it, and you're just like, think of that after you see that rainbow and you're watching this movie, the rest of the movie, and like John said, the greens, and then the ocean and the water and everything, and then inside the house again. Here we go with the atmospheric and depth, and the houses this is way back 1920s, and there's not a lot of cleanliness, and
yeah, they're dirty.
They're dirty, and that like
They have
in
donkeys
the air,
living in the house.
yeah,
Right.
And it's like, what the best part is, my wife started watching it with me, but then she got up and left, and the scene early on when he wants the donkey in and she's out, that's me and my wife,
Right.
and I said,
That's
I'm
a beautiful scene. I love that.
I know.
Yeah.
And when he goes, come on in, get out, and the donkey's like a dog. I mean, it's just
Right.
an oversized dog, right?
Doesn't know what to do.
And I said to my wife, I go, can we get a donkey? She's like, no. I was like, come on.
We used to have one in Spain.
You can let it in the house, and then, but it's a fantastic, it absolutely, it's up for Best Picture, right?
Yeah.
The picture alone, and that's just the best picture. It is amazing picture. It looks
Is it up for
so good.
cinematography?
It might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but then when you get into talk about, I know, John, it didn't. I actually thought of these two characters. I was Colin Farrell and you were Brendan Gleeson when we get older.
Am I?
Oh yeah. Think of our personalities. Like when he's like, I don't want to like. Am I like nice guy? And
Right.
and you going, I'm done.
I'm done with you.
Yeah, but that would be my reaction. Well, what do I got to do? What do I got to do, buddy? What do I?
And I'm like, what do I got to do?
Yeah, well, exactly.
I don't know if I'd go to quite that extreme, but
Well, and that's
I was going to say you're going to need your comics on audiobook then, because you're never going to be able to turn the pages.
exactly.
no. It's there's so much depth to all of these characters too, and there's they're all of their I don't know, each one of them has a positive and each one of them has like the negative, right? And and that's basically how we deal with anybody, right? It's nobody's perfect. Nobody's and it's like you can get along with anybody. You're always going to have to overlook some slights that maybe you don't agree with, but then it's their positivity that you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to, that's what I'm going to focus on. And it's just, and at the end of this movie, you're like, it's not how I wanted it to end. I mean, you know me.
Well, yeah, you're kind of wanting another 10 minutes or so.
I want another movie. I want
a sequel. The Banshees of Inisherin Part 2. This time it's personal.
Yeah. I love where the title came from. I love that. I love that conversation when you hear where the title of the movie comes from. I thought that was fantastic. I really did, and that's why it spoke to me, because I'm not 100%, but I am that Colin Farrell character. I've literally been told that by people, and not people I cared about as much, so I don't care. But I mean, John probably said it under his breath a few times, but no. But it really was, and I felt like those two characters, and I think a lot of people could relate to that. Maybe that's why John's like, yeah, it just didn't really relate to me, because you're like, I'm trying to push away.
Martin McDonagh was interviewed. I saw an interview with him, or read an interview with him, where he said that in terms of the ending, he did not have an ending when they started shooting. And what he said was that he wanted to work on, they had a good ending and they had a sad ending, and he did not want to pigeonhole the movie until they had worked out kind of where it was going. And he said what you should get from the end of it is that it could not end any other way. Now, I'm not sure I agree with him on that. I was talking to someone else about this earlier today. I'm not sure I agree with him on that. I think you take from it what you bring to it.
Right.
And again, I'm spoiler free. No one needs to worry about that. I think if you are someone who is naturally optimistic, you want it to end one way. I think if you're a realist or a pessimist, either way, and they are different things, then I think you probably want it to end a different way. And I think its ambiguity is kind of what plays into it. I think you can read into that what you want. It is either that last conversation on the beach. It is either this is irreparable, or there is a way forward.
There's a bridge,
here.
right?
Yeah, it's not going to go back to how it was for obvious reasons.
Right. Nothing ever does.
And so it's actually a very complex ending. And again, it's one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to rewatching it. That and it's just fun to spend time with these characters. I think there's some of the supporting characters are absolutely brilliant. The nosy post office lady is absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah.
The banshee of the title, of course, is also just interesting to see. Because what she's saying is very true. It's very Shakespearean. You have this commentator. There is someone who is narrating this story and knows what is going to happen, and say very Shakespearean. And you've got that in this as well. And this woman, of course, is right about it as well all the way through.
Right.
So yeah, so much to this. I think this is a film that would reward multiple viewings, and and just kind of go with it. I thought it was great, and an interesting double bill. So if you're going to buy him in Underbridges, as you're calling it, all right, you're going to have trouble finding it on Amazon under that name. But if that's what you give it a go, then it's an interesting double bill. Again, I don't normally recommend double bills, but this would be a great one. Do what I did: watch Underbridges in the morning, and then watch
I got you saying
Inisherin in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And just because there are echoes there, and if you know of the real life friendship as well, I think you'll get even more from it. It's really, really good. I'm so glad I saw it the way I did in terms of the one in the morning, one in the afternoon, because they look so much older. But there's water under the bridge, and of course, within their friendship in the film, that's what's happened as well.
Yeah,
so it's really, really good. Okay, well, so your best picture.
That's what I was just going to go to for you. So it knocked Everything Everywhere off. I have to say this is of what I've seen. I don't anticipate me seeing women talking, or I looked for them on Kaleidoscape. They're not there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll seek them out any further. Maybe if I find them streaming, but I am going to. I already own The Fabelmans and Tar. I just happened to. Banshees just came up because it was on in the morning, so they did a fabulous job advertising it on CBS Sunday Morning. But for me, it's, and you know how I feel about Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was my number one because of its creativity, its action, it's this and that. But I thought the creativity of Banshees it's on another level because of the emotional aspect and how everything like you just said at the end of the movie. It's like, you're right. It kind of can't end any other way, but at the same time, it also leaves you with, regardless of which way you're, an optimist, a pessimist, a realist, you're going to have, how everything plays out anyways. And it leaves you with, it almost like leaves you with what you want, but not, right? Just like life. It's like, you don't always get everything you want. That's what the end of this movie is. And you're like, it's really good. And it's just, so much. I'd love to have a conversation sometime with spoilers and just let it go.
I mean, that line of dialogue in the pub where you get that talk about economy of dialogue, this, you shouldn't show, not tell, but within this, that, again, the line of the dialogue where you learn something about the Barry Cohen character and his father, all from one line of dialogue in the pub. And that just, again, was just like, whoa, did I hear what I thought I just heard? Just such clever dialogue. That one line gives you an entire backstory that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And that is a thing of such skill to be able to write that kind of thing and have just little looks in the characters, and everything you need to know about him, the lad, the dad, and everything else that's going to come as a result of that. But yes, spoilers would be good to talk, because that character is one that and his ultimate ending would be interesting to talk about, kind of, because again, I had a chat with a friend of mine about it, and we both have different views as to what we think may have happened. I know, very, very good.
I think we could talk later, but I'm like, it was foreshadowed. It was foreshadowed in the not only that, and this is where I want to get into spoilers, they also foreshadowed, like, you're like, what is going to happen with, like, there's a foreshadow, and it's the way the way it was shot. It wasn't a line. It wasn't part of the movie, other than a shot of Brendan Gleeson, and you're like, and they'd already, and I'd have to tell you what I'm talking about, but it's like, it's very subtle, but I'm like, is that a hint? Because almost everything, and I wouldn't say almost, the way this movie's made, I would say everything means something. And that's why, like, another viewing, looking at the picture for, the cinematography, looking at what they're shooting, the way they're shooting it, the fork in the road, for God's sakes, the representation of that. It's like, there's so much to this. And that's why I think it's just so creatively done. I came up and told my wife, I'm like, this is and I was excited, and I'm telling her all about it. And she's like, that sounds awful. Because I was telling her about everything that happens. And she's like, but she's only getting like what actually happened, not the dialogue that goes along with it, the feelings and all that. I mean, she got the feelings, but it's like, she's like, I never want to see that movie. I'm like, no, it's great.
And yet I suspect, bearing in mind what she does for a living in terms of the counselling and that kind of stuff, I suspect she'd get an awful lot from this.
Yeah.
It looks to be done, and it feels right. It feels real.
Yeah.
And I suspect she'd get quite a bit from it. I think she'd be looking, going, okay, right, yeah, that is exactly how people would respond. That is how someone tries to amend their behavior because of what someone else has said to them, and all this sort of stuff. I bet there's a lot in there she'd get from it.
Right.
But not now you've told her it all, but otherwise she might have done.
So where does this fall on your best picture?
I think it would be very high as well, because I think Everything All at Once is a very different movie. It's got emotion in a similar way, and it's got that kind of action that isn't a typical Oscar Best Picture winner, is it? I mean, and so I think when you compare it to something like this, I think it's very difficult to say Everything Everywhere All at Once because of the action and because of this. There is some silliness in it as well, which we briefly alluded to last time. Yeah, whereas this is straight. I mean, it's very funny at times initially, but I think that the layers.
I had some laugh out loud moments on Banshee.
I mean, the way he talks to the donkey is brilliant.
Oh my God. Even with his sister, there's an opening. He was like, I mean, it's very early on scene, and it's in this. My wife was still in the room, and it's the way I talked to her. It's the way, and it was so matter of fact. And his sister's like, well, was he asleep? Because he had said, he goes, he didn't want to go to the pub with me, and he goes, he was just sitting there smoking. And then his sister goes, was he sleeping? How could he be sleeping and smoking at the same time?
Yes.
And that's what I would say the same thing. I'm like, I just told you he was smoking, but it was like, it was so real, right? It was just so like, and again, that plays to the acting, like none of it felt acted, which is the exact opposite of the movie.
Yeah, there's no showy, shouty, dramatic scenes in this, which is what you expect to see. The show reel that they'll show will be quiet scenes. There is no one where, oh, look at that person earning their Oscar.
Right.
There's no show me the money scene. There's no I'm going to shout at the screen and I'm going to, all that. It's just quiet right through. But I think this should be pretty close up there for me. Again, I tell you what, it's quite a difficult year this year in terms of voting. And if we're taking out Avatar, obviously, we're taking out Maverick because they're blockbusters, then I think Everywhere, Everything All at Once, Elvis, again, and so they're crowd pleasers. I think in terms of archetypal Best Picture winners, this one's really right there. It's
going to be hard. I mean, for me, Banshees is in the lead right now, but then I have All Quiet, Everything. I have Everything Everywhere All at Once as number 2, All Quiet. But I've yet to see The Fabelmans and Tar.
It's been divisive, it's been quite divisive. I wonder if your experience of having seen... Yeah, but having seen that, the 525... I'm glad you know that code. Having seen that, I think you might be a bit diminished on Fabelmans. You might think I've seen this before, and because you saw the other one first, this one then might be diminished.
Yeah, but I'm not going to hold that against either party.
No, but just in terms of your emotional... involvement that might do it. And it has been quite divisive. I listened today to some people saying it's not that great. So I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been no massive rush.
My luck, Women Talking or Triangle of Sadness is going to win it. It's like, because those are two that I didn't see and I can't comment.
Yes,
but I'm like, maybe if I come across them. But like Elvis, got to go down. That's down on the list. Avatar, Top Gun, you know, and yeah, it's, you know, but it's a tough year. It's good stuff. Good stuff. And good home theater
spoiled.
stuff too.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Right.
Look at that.
Okay.
We got 2 minutes. You can
Right-
get to
right
bed a
on
minute
time.
early.
Yeah.
Celebrate good times. Come on.
There we go. All right. Yeah, if you want to reach us, our names at brightsidehometheater.com. If you want to email any of us, or you can just, just do that. Do that. If you'd like to be
Obviously,
on the
if
show,
you're
go ahead.
if you're Eminem and you want me to do some back stuff, then obviously let me know. I could be available for the right price.
Because crime doesn't pay.
Well,
And
obviously,
you're looking for a side gig. Right.
Oh, yeah. Coming straight out of England.
Yeah. If you'd like to be on the show, you can email me. Let me know. And it's getting difficult to schedule, but I'm trying to do if I have a few people where we've been going back and forth. But I'm trying to do during the week now. I used to do on the weekends, but if I can do a Wednesday late afternoon or Thursday late afternoon, if you've been on the show and you want to come back on, just let me know. If you've never been on, don't be shy. Everybody has a great time. I say that on all the Takeover Tuesdays. It's a lot of fun. Steve was a Takeover Tuesday guest. Now look at him. Now he's got a T-shirt.
Now he's rapping.
And he's rapping. He's getting requests to rap.
Oh, no. Crap.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. And thank you to all the Patreon supporters. Everybody that's giving, we'll have another donation next month that we'll talk about next week. So thank you to everybody that supported us buying boxes of popcorn, which you can do on the website, or Patreon supporter going on Patreon, Brightside Home. John knows that one. What is it?
Patreon.com/Brightside Home Theater.
Dave, wow. I was kidding. I didn't think you'd get it. I'm like, which is it? All right. But thank you. Let's get Steve to bed, and John and I can eat dinner. So thank you, everybody. Have a great week. What do we got to do, John?
Go push play.
Steve?
Yeah. What he said.
There we go. Later, guys.
All right. Take care.
Cheers, guys.